All right. So we bat like cook crack. I look at this point with the connection. I can't call it. I'm gonna just drink my wine and watch the draft. So, um, just to get you up to speed, we left off right before the Jets made their selection. The Jets, in fact, did take who I thought they were going to take, and I told you they were going to take Denzel Mims. So Denzel Mims is a New York Jet. So he's off the board. The next pick was then the New England Patriots. They take Josh Uche. All right. The Tennessee Titans take Christian Fulton, the guy that I mocked them to take in the first round. They get all the way in the second round. So I had the right team, just the wrong time of the draft. Instead of the first round, they get Christian Fulton in the second round at 61. So the Packers are going to make the final selection in the first round, and then we're going to get to the third. Or wait, I'll take that back. We got two more. We got three more picks in the second round. We got the Packers, we got the Seahawks, we got the Chiefs, and then the Seahawks. So there's no value at corner now with Christian Fulton gone. So that's dead. There's no value at wide receiver unless AGG is he's value for me. Do the Redskins value him the way that I do? I don't know. I can't answer that. If I were the Redskins, AGG would be the pick. I told you he's everything that we need at the wide receiver position in terms of a guy with some size. We don't really have that. And I don't know, a lot of you are going to say, what about Kelvin Harmon? Kelvin Harmon's fine, but I think AGG is better, a better version of Kelvin Harmon. So for whatever that's worth. Maybe the Redskins don't value him the way that I do. And maybe he's the guy you could get a lot later in the draft. You know, I was the guy that said, take Kelvin Harmon in the third round. We got him in the sixth round. So AGG may be one of those types of guys. Anyway, sorry for that inconvenience, guys. We're going to jump right back into the thick of things, bat like cook crack. Hong Kong Fooey says, drink up, Louie. Let's drink again if we get AGG. I'm going to drink regardless, whether we get him or not. I'm going to keep drinking, man. With the way this connection is going, I got to drink, okay? I got no choice but to consume alcoholic beverages, okay? It's driving me to drink. So, at this point, the Packers pick is in, and this is right around the point where the Packers should be taking a wide receiver. And you know who makes a ton of sense for them? Devin Duvernay. Wide receiver out of Texas. I said that they didn't have a short guy, a small, shifty receiver with speed that could take the top off the defense, someone like a Randall Cobb. They're missing that element to their offense. Devin Duvernay would provide that. They've got big receivers that can run. As I mentioned, Marquez, Scantling. Let's try that again. Marquez Valdez Scantling can run. So they got speed out there. They don't have a slot guy.
NFL draft. The Green Bay Packers select A.J. Dillon, running back, Boston College.
So yet again, another team that has 87 running backs on their team takes a running back. I love A.J. Dillon probably more so than most people out there. Let's take a look at the running back position, because as I told you, the running back position was going to be ravaged in the second round. Jonathan Taylor, gone. He's now an Indianapolis Colt. DeAndre Swift, gone. He is now a... where did Swift go? Swift went to the Dolphins? No, he didn't go to the Dolphins. I don't remember where DeAndre Swift went. I think he went... Did he go to the Dolphins? I don't remember. They needed a running back. They didn't take a running back, did they? They took an offensive lineman. They took the guard, and then they took a defensive tackle. He's not a Miami Dolphin. Where the hell did DeAndre Swift go? Hey, I got the damn draft tracker in front of me. Why am I asking you guys and I can find out my damn self? Let's see. He went to the... Oh, my goodness. Why? He went to the Lions. Shit, he was the second pick in the damn second round, for crying out loud. Jonathan Taylor, a Colt. DeAndre Swift, a Lion. J.K. Dobbins, a Raven. Darrington Evans is still available. I really like him. Cam Akers went to the Rams. A.J. Dillon went recently to the Green Bay Packers. So all of my top 7 backs, with the exception of Darrington Evans, gone off the board. And that sounds about right. That's right around where it should be at this point. You're getting into the 3rd round, and now 6 backs have been taken. And I told you the backs were going to be assaulted in the 2nd round, and we've seen 5 running backs go in the 2nd round to this point, and yet we still have 2 picks left in the 2nd round. So we could conceivably see 1 more running back go. Although Kansas City not going to take a back. I think they're going to take an interior offensive lineman here. I think they're going to take, and this is the guy that I talked about them taking potentially last night. They ultimately went with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think they're going to take another LSU product, this time Lloyd Cushenberry II, a center out of LSU. And Seattle, I don't think is going to take a running back. But then again, I didn't think a lot of these teams that took running backs tonight were going to take running backs, and they did. So Seattle not off the hook. Rashad Penny and all of those guys, Chris Carson, guys that have gotten injured, may lead them to believe they need yet another back. I don't know. But we'll see what Seattle decides to do if they don't trade out. I think the Chiefs are going to take an interior offensive lineman, either one of the guards in this draft, or they're going to take a center. I think they're going to ultimately take an interior offensive lineman. I'm going to go with Lloyd Cushenberry II as a center, but it wouldn't shock me if they went with one of the guards in this draft. And I'm going to run off a couple of names to you that I think would be of interest to them. I think they would be interested in John Simpson out of Clemson, Tyree Phillips of Mississippi State. Those 2 guys make some sense. Even Damian Lewis of LSU, but I think it's a little early for him. John Simpson, to me, of Clemson, makes the most sense. If they wanted to go guard, I think they would go center, though, with Lloyd Cushenberry II. We'll see what they decide to do ultimately. Anyway, let's get to some super chats. And let me pull up my screen. I don't want to do what I did earlier and leave the screen up there for 20 minutes. All right. Let's see. I got a super chat. Got Any Grape says, damn, super chatted on the dead stream. I'm sorry. I really apologize for that, man. I really do. Obviously I didn't plan for it to crash on me the way that it did, but what can you do? We've had issues all night tonight. I'm glad it wasn't that way on night 1, but I hate the fact that it's doing it tonight. I guarantee you this time next year, when I do this draft party next year, we won't have these issues. I'm going to make you that promise right now, okay? I will have a much more sturdy connection. I promise you that. So I'm sorry for that, but Got Any Grapes, I appreciate you super chatting to tell me that you super chatted on the last stream that died. Thank you. I appreciate you. Got Any Grapes, man. That's real dedication right there. Just Andre says, would you take Jeremy Chin at 66? Nah, I wouldn't be moved enough to take Jeremy Chin at 66. I feel like safety is a need, but not one great enough that moves me to make that selection at 66. But if the Redskins value him at 66, so be it. Here's the Chiefs at 63.
In the 2020 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Willie Gay, linebacker, Mississippi State.
So Willie Gay Jr., linebacker out of Mississippi State. Man, can that guy run? Remember, he tore the combine to shreds with his speed and athleticism. Let's take a look at the linebacker position. I think Willie Gay was like my 7th or 8th linebacker, maybe 6th. Let's see. My 10th linebacker. I stand corrected. There are a number of guys that I feel like are ahead of him. Had some off-the-field issues. Seattle is trading their pick. Go figure. Let's see, to the Panthers. All right. So let's talk about that. Willie Gay, quickly, is a linebacker with tremendous speed, sideline to sideline speed. He plays with aggression. He's really raw. I think he's got a lot of seasoning to do and a lot of things that he can learn and tighten up to be better. But one thing's for sure, he plays with his hair on fire. He plays with an abundance of energy. He's fast as hell. He's physical. Did have some off the field issues. That's something that if you're a team, you got to make sure that you vet him on that. But one thing's for sure, this guy is uber athletic and he's got some real ability, man. When you watch him on tape, you're really impressed with the things he brings to the table. But again, he's extremely raw. So, but you can't teach what he has, which is pure athleticism at the highest level. He's got it in spades. And so the Chiefs are looking to get faster on defense. Willie Gay Jr. is going to help them do that. So I wouldn't take Jeremy Chin at 66, just to reiterate. Just Andre. Thank you for the super chat. I got Munson 1 says, stay blessed, brother. Thank you for the super chat. I got Munson 1. Really appreciate it, man. And I'm definitely blessed. The fact that you guys jump from stream to stream with me, continue to support, even though the technical difficulties are becoming a bit of a problem, I'm blessed, man. The fact that you guys are still riding with me all the way to the end, even though it's been a bumpy ass ride, that I'm blessed. I appreciate you guys, and you stay blessed as well. Thank you for that super chat. Cruising 26 says, do you like Xavier McKinney? Yes. Not only do I like him, you guys got a steal. He was a first round safety. He had no business. If you go back and watch my previous video, my first part of this draft party, when I talked about the pick, I said whomever gets Xavier McKinney in the second round is getting a steal. The Giants got him, and I said, I hate the fact that he's in our division because he's a stud, and he should have been a first-round pick. He had no business, none whatsoever, being in the second round, but you guys benefited from that. Awesome pick by the Giants. He's going to upgrade your defense immensely. I'll say this, and I know Redskins fans don't want to hear this, but it's true. He's better than Landon Collins. I said it. Okay? He's better than Landon Collins. More versatile, gives you more in the pass game. He's better than Landon Collins. There, I said it. So I do like Xavier McKinney. He was the best safety on the board. Best safety in this draft. And you got him at 35, I believe it was. 35 or 36. 36. 36? 36. Anyhow, thank you for the super chat. Cruising 26. Abu Ho. Thank you for the super chat, Abu Ho. They don't know, though. It's Abu Ho. Thank you for the super chat. He says, what do you think about Thaddeus Moss tight end? I hope we get him. I'm also a big fan of the channel. Keep up the good work. And I'm a Redskins fan since 2004. Thank you for the super chat. Thaddeus Moss, solid tight end. He's not even in the discussion at 66. Not even worth talking about. You don't even start thinking about Thaddeus Moss until the fourth round, and not even the first fourth round pick, but rather the back end of the fourth round, that compensatory pick. That's, if he's even available still, that's when I start thinking about Thaddeus Moss. Okay? That's how I feel about him. So the Seahawks made the trade with the Panthers. Remember, I said Seahawks are itching to trade. Remember, they didn't trade out of the first round, which is news to us. First time since 2012, they didn't make a trade out of the first round, or at least back in the first round. Panthers come up. They must love a guy here. Anxious to see who this guy is. I'm assuming that this, because of the teams in front of them, both tight end needy, I'm assuming this is for a tight end because Cincinnati needs a tight end and Washington needs a tight end. Cincinnati needs a receiver. Washington needs a receiver. So I'm thinking in my mind that this is either a wide receiver or a tight end because both of the teams that Carolina traded in front of need tight ends and wide receivers. So I'm thinking that the Panthers looked at the two teams that they were trading in front of and said, we need a tight end. We need a wide receiver. Let's get in front of Washington and Cleveland or Cincinnati because both of them need tight ends and wide receivers. I think it's a tight end. Personally, let's see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, Abu Ho. King Jaffe Joe. Yo, what's good? King Jaffe Joe. Appreciate the super chat. He says, Marlon Davidson, Louie T, I need your help. We're going to talk about it. Let's see what the Panthers do.
Pick for the Carolina Panthers. With the 64th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Jeremy Chin, defensive back, Southern.
Well, somebody had just asked me about Jeremy Chin. They loved him, and they felt like they were in danger of not getting him if they didn't trade up into the second round to get him. I personally wasn't going to be happy if the Redskins spent a third round pick on him. He's a good football player, don't get me wrong, but I needed to see more from him. The game, and I didn't watch I didn't watch him in the games that I watched. Let me clarify this. The games that I watched, I didn't see enough out of him. I needed to watch more of Jeremy Chin to feel confident that a third round pick was necessary on him. I just went off of the talent, and there were a few flashes in the games that I watched. This is one of the games I watched versus North Dakota State. There were a few flashes where I said, whoa, but there weren't enough of them in the games that I watched to warrant the 33rd pick or 66th pick in the draft for my Redskins. So he's talented, and I'll take it a step further. His size, his speed, his athleticism, hard to teach at that position. Everyone pretty much pegged him as a poor man's Isaiah Simmons. So a great value Isaiah Simmons in this draft. And he goes to the Panthers in the final pick of the second round. Cincinnati Bengals are now on the clock to start the third round. The Redskins are now officially on the clock. The pick is in for Cincinnati at 65. I'd like to think that this is a wide receiver.
2020 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals
Or, excuse me, a tight end.
Logan Wilson.
Linebacker. Okay. I like Logan Wilson, man. Linebacker out of Wyoming. Tremendous ball skills. Guy had 4 picks last year. He's like a watered down, great value version of Leighton Vander Esch. You think Logan Wilson, think poor man's Leighton Vander Esch. So I like him a lot. Just know that. He is Leighton Vander Esch light. Anyway, let me get to King Jaffe Joe's comment here quickly. I know the Redskins are on the clock, and we're going to see what they do. I'm going to predict the pick right now. Let's look at what's available real quick. I'm going to go through these positions real quick, and then I'm going to get to your super chat, King Jaffe Joe. Give me a second. You're not going to take a quarterback here. They're not going to take a running back. Let's look at the receivers. AGG is available. Tyler Johnson. Those two, to me, are worthy of 66. So if the Redskins, the pick is in for the Redskins, by the way. AGG or Tyler Johnson. The tight end position has barely been touched. Only one that is gone is Cole Kmet. So if Adam Troutman is the pick, I wouldn't be opposed to that. That's who I mock them to take at 66. Anyhow, we'll see what they do there. The Redskins take wide receiver Antonio Gibson out of Memphis. I'm not excited about the pick. I'm not going to lie to you. I know a lot of people are high on him. I am not. However, but then again, I sat in this same seat last year and told you guys that I didn't necessarily love the Terry McLaurin pick, and look how he turned out for us. I wanted size. I wanted a guy with a little bit of size. He's not it.
The Washington Redskins select Antonio Gibson, running back, Memphis.
So he's a hybrid. He's a running back. He's a wide receiver. I'm not blown away by this pick, man. He's a versatile guy. He returns kicks. He does a little bit of everything. But again, jack of all trades, master of none, wasn't what I was looking for. And again, Ron Rivera and his crew, they don't know any of the guys on this roster. So what they're going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to bring in guys that they believe in. We're going to see about Antonio Gibson. But and I know again, let me repeat this. I know a lot of people are high on Antonio Gibson. I am not one of them because as I mentioned, he played multiple positions at Memphis. And Memphis is one of those teams. If you look at their roster the last couple of years, the Dallas Cowboys drafted a similar player last year at the running back position in Tony Pollard. Similar type of player. Ran kicks back, played wide receiver, played running back. I don't like this pick. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I don't like this pick. He's versatile. He does a lot of everything, but he's a master of none of them. He doesn't have size. He doesn't bring anything. He doesn't bring anything elite to the table. I don't think he ran a 40 at the combine. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna look that up for you guys right now. If he ran a 40 or not and get his speed. But I don't even care about his speed. I'm not excited about this pick. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I could be wrong. I was wrong about the pick last year. Remember, I went back and I watched Terry McLaurin, and then I came back and I did a video and I said, I was wrong about Terry. I like this guy. And maybe I'll feel the same way about Antonio Gibson. I did some limited film study on him, just a couple of games. Now I'm going to go back and watch way more because he's a Redskin now. But I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to find because I saw that in the games that I watched. I'm not overly impressed. But again, let me get a little bit more information on him for you guys while we're sitting here and there's a little break in the action. Let's look up Antonio Gibson real quick and see what if he ran. I don't think he ran at the combine. Let's see. No, yeah, he did run, and he ran really fast at the combine. Actually, he ran a 4.39. Actually, he's a Blazer, so he can run. But again, I'm not overly impressed by the pick. I want to see what the Redskins have in mind for him because the guy played multiple positions, as I mentioned, running back, wide receiver. He returned kicks. He was a jack of all trades. And maybe they're looking for a Christian McCaffrey type and they're not sold on J.D. McKissick. And this is the guy that they have in mind when they think about a guy that can do a little bit of everything, create mismatches for them. And he may ultimately be able to do that at this level because of the fact that you can line him up in the backfield, you send him into motion, and most likely a linebacker is going to go with him. And he's going to torch any linebacker. And so maybe that's the thought process, is that we could create mismatches all over the football field with Antonio Gibson. But I was looking for a big boy wide receiver, bottom line. And that's not what I got here. So I'm going to be honest with you. Not feeling the pick, but I could come back later on tonight and tell you something totally different. I watched some more games on him and I'm like, all right, I've come around to it. But right now, not one of my favorite picks by Kyle Allen. Or excuse me, I said Kyle Allen. I'm thinking of the quarterback, Kyle Smith. We're going to see. Only time will tell. Let's get to the comment section, though. Let me take care of these super chats in order. King Jaffe Joe says, Marlon Davidson, Louie T, I need your help. I talked about Marlon Davidson on the last video. So if you want a thorough breakdown, go there. Let me say this. Marlon Davidson is a unique prospect in this draft. One that can get after the quarterback from a two-point stance. As an edge rusher, he's 303 pounds, however. That's rare that you see a 300-pounder standing up and being most effective standing up. But that's where he's his best. When you kick him inside and you reduce him to a defensive tackle, he's not as quick, he's not as dominant, he's not as effective. It's weird because most 300-pounders are like fish out of water when you kick them outside. That's not the case with Marlon Davidson. You stick him inside and he is really uncomfortable. You take him outside and he's beating tackles, he's getting to the quarterback, he's creating pressure, he's harassing. So it's really interesting to see how and I said this during your selection, Lions making their pick.
The Detroit Lions select Julian Okwara.
So Julian Okwara, a linebacker out of Notre Dame, is the pick. It's amazing. They had his brother. His brother may still be on the team, and they may be playing with each other. I think his brother is actually already on the Lions, which is weird if he's still there. But anyhow, that's pretty cool if the two brothers are playing together. And he's a Golden Domer, so I'm happy for him. I think that the two brothers are actually on the same team. I really think that his brother is still in Detroit. But anyhow, if you kick him inside, he's not the same guy. You play him outside, and he's actually a problem. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Falcons use Marlon Davidson. So that's the skinny on Marlon Davidson. He can get to the quarterback, though, for sure. Got a super chat from Potluckization. Thank you for the super chat, Potluckization. That's 3 for you, bro. Thank you for tripling up. You says, what tackle in our division do you think will give Chase Young the most trouble? Which matchup do you like for him the most? Also, let's get some hype for my boy Louie. Show some love, he says, y'all. So here it is. Obviously, the most established tackle in the division is Tyron Smith. The Eagles have a young boy in Andre Dillard that's going to take over for Jason Peters this year. I want to see what he looks like. So I'm going to take my chances with Andre Dillard, see what he does. And we got a brand new tackle in the division in Andrew Thomas for the Giants. That being said, that's on the left side. The Cowboys have a legit left tackle when he's healthy, one of the best in the league. But if you flip it to the right side, I think every team in the division has liabilities on the right side that Chase can take advantage of. Outside of the Eagles, Lane Johnson is legit on the right side. But the Giants have liabilities on the right side. The Cowboys, I'm not sold on their right side with Lyle Collins. I think that you can do some work on some of those guys. Jets selection is in.
The New York Jets select Ashton Davis, defensive back, California.
I love Ashton Davis, safety out of California. Really good safety, and I like his skill set. Physical, will come up and hit you. Plays the ball really well. Can run. Can do a little bit of everything, man. Dealt with a couple of injuries this year. He missed a couple of games due to it, but this guy is aggressive. You can play him around the line of scrimmage. You can play him away from the line of scrimmage. He's just an aggressive defender, man. I like his nature. Look at this pick. He got a pick against Oregon. That was one of the hits in that game. He had a nice little pick against Justin Herbert on a ball where Herbert was late. I don't know if they're going to show it in his montage or not. That was one of his better picks, though. Here it is right here. Herbert looking to throw the little skinny post. Watch him jump this route. Boop! Cookies! I love this guy right here, man. He's a special player, too. I think he's got a chance. If they play him alongside the safety that they already have in Jamal Adams, they would make one hell of a safety tandem, man. That kid right there, Ashton Davis, is pretty damn talented, if I may say so myself. Anyhow, I appreciate the super chat, Potluckization. I think all the right tackles in the division can be had outside of the Eagles with Lane Johnson. And I think all the right tackles in the division can be had outside of the Cowboys when healthy with their left tackle. I forgot his name, out of USC. You know who I'm talking about. So there is that. Hey, Kevin, chill, bro. Chill. Yikes. Let's get to some more super chats, though. Let's see. CMG87 says, Snyder should have hired Rick Smith. We took a running back. This is as bad as a Bruce offseason. Should have hired Jim Harbaugh. Hey, relax. Seahawks on the board, making a pick.
LSU.
Seahawks take guard Damian Lewis out of LSU. Relax, guys. Like, you can't go from one end of the spectrum to the other because you don't like the pick. I didn't like the pick, but I'm not killing Kyle Smith for the pick. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. Remember, you have to understand this about the roster. They're coming into this roster as if it's brand new and it's a clean slate. They're not sold on any of these players. None of them. None of these guys. Excuse me. With the exception of a few of them. And those are the established guys. We don't have an established running back outside of Adrian Peterson. All right. Guys can't stay healthy. Bryce Love hasn't played a snap for us. And the other guys on the roster, they just went out and signed? Seriously? Are you going to say that those guys are locks? I mean, when you look at the Redskins roster, there are no guarantees. I didn't think that a running back / wide receiver / kick returner was necessary at 66. But if that's what they deem to be great value, so be it. I told you, I'm not knocking the hustle. I don't agree with the pick doesn't mean the pick was the wrong pick. It just means I didn't see eye to eye with them on the selection. Okay? But that doesn't mean you need to go to the other end, the extreme end of the spectrum. Oh my God, Snyder should have done this and should have. I like Kyle Smith. He's done Ullman-like work here. Okay, let's see how this pick goes. All right, CMG87, appreciate the super chat. All right. Let's get to some more. We got some more super chats. CJ Shoots Photo says, thank you for the super chat. First off, CJ Shoots Photo. Greatly appreciate it. He says, it's absurd. Why not Josh Jones? Why not Troutman? Your guess is as good as mine. Those two would have made a lot more sense. But again, where did the Redskins and Kyle Smith and Ron Rivera and their staff evaluate those guys? Those guys obviously were not as high as Antonio Gibson on their board. And that's apparent. Okay? Obviously, those guys were all available. Those are all positions of need. Look, the tight end position has barely been touched. It tells you that the rest of the league, not just the Redskins, acknowledges the fact that the tight end position is trash this year. The fact, and I told you where the value at tight end was. 4th and 5th round. The Redskins can still get. I want Devin Asiasi. He'll be there in the 4th round. I'm not complaining about that. Troutman, I'm not worried about that. Josh Jones, though, a developmental tackle, I thought would have been a perfect pick at 66. Would have not had a problem. But I told you, the Redskins talked to Sadiq Charles. I think that's who they're going to spend. If he's there at the top of the 4th round at 108, I think that's who they're going to spend their pick on, is Sadiq Charles. Mark my words. If Sadiq Charles is on the board at 108 at the top of the 4th round, I think that's where the Redskins go in the 4th round to start off the 4th round of the first of their 2 picks in that round. But I felt like there were other options available better. But really, when you look at the board, it wasn't a lot of shit there. I'm going to be honest with you. All the corners were gone. All the receivers were gone. I like Antonio Gandy Golden, but obviously Antonio Gandy Golden's going to be around for a while. It's the same thing I did with Kelvin Harmon last year. I had a man crush on him. I moved him up my board, but everybody else in the league said, hey, bro, you tripping. You got this guy way over evaluated. He's not a 3rd round pick. He's more like a 5th or 6th round pick. AGG will be there probably in the 4th round when the Redskins spend that 2nd, 4th round pick. That's when you probably take him. We don't have a 5th round. Well, we got the Seattle's 5th round pick, so I take that back. We do have a 5th round pick. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to kill them for this pick. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to do more homework before I'm overly judgmental. I can just tell you right now, off first blush, after the 2 games that I've watched on Antonio Gibson, I'm not blown away by the pick. But again, the Redskins and this new staff, they're coming in and they're looking at this roster as a blank slate. And they're saying, nobody's safe. And I told you this a month ago on one of my Redskins report. Nobody's safe, okay? Outside of a few guys that are made men, okay? Chase Young's, they drafted him. Obviously, he's a made man. All right, the Alabama Wall, those guys are made men. All right, Kerrigan, made man. All right, Montez Sweat, made man. All right, there aren't many of them. Landon Collins, made man. Okay, there aren't many of them on this roster, though. Okay, a lot of guys are going to have to prove themselves, and this selection further drives home that point that players are going to have to prove themselves because nobody is really going to be given anything. Because as Rivera has said, and you guys have to start taking Rivera at face value when he says things. I told you, a lot of times when he talks, it's not just coach speak. Everybody around the league says this about Ron Rivera. When he speaks, it's the truth, okay? Ron Rivera isn't just talking for his health. When he says something, it's legit the truth. It's how he feels. And he said over and over again this offseason, I don't know these guys. They have to prove themselves. He said the same thing to Trent, which is probably what bent him out of shape. The Dolphins make their selection at number 70. They take safety Brandon Jones out of Texas. Really solid safety. If we take a quick look at the safety position to see where Jones was on my list of safeties, Jones was my 10th safety, and we're pretty much getting to that point now. Xavier McKinney gone to the Giants, Antoine Winfield Jr. gone to the Buccaneers, Kyle Duggar went earlier in the draft. I forget where he went, but it was early in the draft. Hell, I got my draft tracker right here. Let's just look it up, shall we? I mean, no need to guess. I got my draft tracker right here. So, but he's gone. Ashton Davis just went off the board to the Jets in the 3rd round. So, Grant Delpit went in the 2nd round to, I forgot the team, but again, I'm going to look it up right now. So the safety position, Jeremy Chin just went last pick of the 2nd round to the Seahawks. Like, these safeties are flying off the board at this point. So Terrell Burgess is a raw prospect out of Utah that converted from wide receiver. So I'm not really shocked that he's still available. But Jeremy Chin, as I mentioned, went to Carolina. They traded up. I think I said Seattle. It was Carolina. Grant Delpit went to Cleveland in the 2nd round. Kyle Duggar went to the New England Patriots. So the safety position starting to become ravaged. Not a lot of guys left on the board. We'll see what happens with the safety position as we continue on in the 3rd round. But back to the Super Chat. CJ Shoots photo. I understand your frustration. I wasn't happy with the pick, but I'm going to go do some more homework before I condemn Kyle Smith and company for the selection. Damn Twin Shorty Sublime says, first of all, thank you for the Super Chat. Double up, and I'm going to take this time to finish out my wine. This is the last pour that I have. So this is it. We went through the whole entire bottle tonight. So let's get to this comment. Let me pull the all right, Redskins trying to be the smartest team in the room. I mean, what am I missing with some of the wide receivers, left tackles, and tight ends on the board? Again, the draft is all about value and getting value. And the Redskins obviously felt like they got good value here. Do we agree with it? Not necessarily, but this is what these guys get paid to do. And again, we don't even know. This is the funny thing, that we make these assumptions. We don't even know what Scott Turner's offense even looks like. We sit here and we make assumptions on what the Redskins should do and what they didn't do, and why are we doing this and why are we doing that. We don't even know what Scott Turner's offense looks like and how a guy like Antonio Gibson fits into the grand scheme of things. He may be a perfect fit for what Scott Turner wants to do, and we needed to get a guy like that. Who's to say? All right? All I'm asking from you guys is patience. I don't agree with the pick, just like you don't, okay? I'm not saying that I felt like there weren't other players on the table or on the board that were better options, but this is who the Redskins identified as the best player on the board, the most value at that pick. It's who they selected. They selected him for a reason. Now, let's find out why. Thank you for the Super Chat. Let's Let's see. All right, hold on. I think I'm missing some chats here. I want to go back a bit. I tried to pull out the chat, but I think I missed some. Hold on a second. All right. So let's get to this chat now. And got any grapes? Thank you for the super chat. Damn sublime. Damn twin shorty sublime. I get it. I understand your frustration, but we gotta take a wait and see approach. Got any grapes? Thank you for the super chat. Double up. For got any grapes. He says, gotta assume Ron thinks we don't need left tackle until Trent is gone. Tight end value is in the fourth. I agree with both of the things that you've said to this point. But you got to believe Gibson would have been there in the fourth. I feel that way as well. But look, Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, I think both had Antonio Gibson as the best wide receiver left on their board. I didn't agree with that. But again, people that do this for a living, that's how they evaluated him. That's where they said he should be going. So they viewed it as a good pick. They viewed it as good value. The Redskins obviously identified him as good value as well. I, however, did not think that was a position that but again, when you go chasing after needs, you get yourself into trouble. So I'm not upset about the Redskins doing what they did. The Miami Dolphins selected defensive tackle Justin Matabuke out of Texas A&M. I actually like him a lot. I like him better, the Baltimore Ravens selected Justin Matabuke. And he makes a lot of sense. I talked about how they needed to stop the run, how I thought that the pick of J.K. Dobbins was overkill and that they needed to address defensive tackle. Matabuke was one of the most productive interior defensive linemen in this draft. In terms of consistency, this is a guy that got after the quarterback at a higher clip than just about anybody in this draft from the defensive tackle position. Every year, you could pretty much put this guy down for 5+ sacks. From the defensive tackle position, that's saying a lot because most interior defensive tackles that come into the NFL from the draft don't have double-digit sacks in their career. He did it, and I think that he's a guy that has potential to get pressure on the quarterback at the next level. The Arizona Cardinals take tackle Josh Jones out of Houston, a guy that I thought the Redskins had a chance to take, and I would have really liked to have seen the Redskins take Josh Jones. That's the guy that I think we missed out on, and I'm going to follow his career in Arizona to see if he's any good. And if he turns out to be a stalwart for that offensive line and we struggle to find the replacement for Trent Williams, I'm going to be pretty pissed off because we had a chance to take him in the third round. We didn't take him. We passed on him, and I want to see how he develops. He's still raw. He's still got a lot of growing to do, but he's a guy that I think down the road, a year or two down the road, could be really good at the next level, and we passed on him. So that's a guy I'm going to keep an eye on, but thank you for the super chat. Got any grapes? I think that's a really good observation that you made, and that's a really astute comment you made about Ron assuming that, Trent's still here, so he's still a part of the future, or at least the upcoming season. So you're not desperate for a tackle per se. And, tight end, as I mentioned, the best value at tight end is 4th, 5th round. So I get it. I get it. I still think, and as you mentioned, though, you made a great point. I still think Antonio Gibson would have been there in the 4th round. So who are we to say? Who are we to say? He probably wouldn't have been there in the 4th. But I just didn't think that was a position the Redskins needed to take at that time. Anyway, Mr. Laughing My Head Off, thank you for the super chat. You here with it. Appreciate you. He says, don't think we were targeting offensive tackle this year. I believe we have a 7-time Pro Bowl crybaby at left tackle. I don't know what the Redskins are going to do at tackle. In their mind, they got to tackle. If I'm them, and I don't think this is the mindset that they have, they're not going into this thing thinking we got Trent Williams, we're good. That's not the thought process. Okay, I'd be shocked if that was a thought process. I do not think they're thinking to themselves, oh, we got Trent Williams. He's under contract. We're good at left tackle. I just don't think they felt like anybody at that position was worthy of the 66th pick. And I think they have their eye on Sadiq Charles. That's the guy that they talked to him. They've done their homework on him. They vetted him. I think that's the guy, and he's talented. I think that, but he's raw. I think that's the guy that they're targeting. And I think they're going to target him with one of their 4th round picks. Sean Comerford. Thank you for the super chat, Sean Comerford. Greatly appreciate it. Says, love the Vikings draft so far. Justin Jefferson, Jeff Gladney, Ezra Cleveland, all at really great spots and all covered 3 big needs. Thoughts? I agree with you wholeheartedly. I love I thought you stole Justin Jefferson at 22. I thought he could have went off the board at 20 to the Jaguars. He didn't. They took an edge rusher and Kayvon Chason. I thought he could have went to the Eagles. I thought he was going to the Eagles at 21. They instead passed. Elected to go with TCU wide receiver. It's going to kill me if I don't go and look real quick. They elected to go with the TCU wide receiver, Jalen Reagor. So that was a surprise to me. I thought it was a bad move. And you were the beneficiaries of that. You got Justin Jefferson. Ezra Cleveland is a guy that I thought my Redskins may be able to get at 66. I thought he was going to potentially fall as the draft wore on. But I felt in my heart of hearts he was a 2nd round pick. I said it all along. And you guys got a really good tackle there in Ezra Cleveland. And Jeff Gladney, I've always said, if Mike Zimmer takes a corner, and I know he's not the general manager. I know Rick Spielman is. But if Mike Zimmer, which Zimmer always takes a corner in the 1st round, it seems like, every year. When he takes a corner, I tend to believe that guy's good.
NFL draft.
Let's see what the Jaguars do.
The Jacksonville Jaguars select Devon Hamilton, nose tackle.
All right, so Devon Hamilton pick out of Ohio State. Let's take a look at the defensive tackle position. I didn't get to Devon Hamilton, but he was right on the outskirts. He would have been at like 10, 11. Maybe I watch him, I'm impressed, and he's at 7 or 8. Anyway, I didn't get to him, so he's not on my list of defensive tackles. Back to the super chat from Sean. Jeff Gladney is a guy that has talent. I don't love his technique, but maybe that's the way he was taught at TCU. He's got a ton of talent, though. He's really talented, and this is the thing. If you would ask me to pick one coach in the NFL to identify a NFL caliber corner, I would go and say, "Hey, Mike Zimmer, go pick me a corner, please." So if Mike Zimmer picks a corner, I tend to agree with whatever he decides, because he's had a track record over his career in picking and developing young cornerbacks. So we've got to trade. The Cleveland Browns traded back, allowed the Saints to come up. The Saints are making the pick.
To the New Orleans Saints.
Let's see who the Saints take.
With the 74th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Zach Bond, linebacker.
Zach Bond, edge rusher, essentially out of Wisconsin. That's a great pick for them. I talked about the need for an edge rusher in the 1st round with the Saints. And I said, look, they don't have enough edge rushing presence. Yep, they drafted Davenport a couple of years ago. He's been injured. He's been solid, but he doesn't move the needle necessarily. The one guy that they do have that can get pressure on a quarterback is the defensive end out of Cal. But they don't have a lot of guys on their roster that can get after the quarterback. Zach Bond can do that, man. So that's a good pick for them. And they trade up in front of Detroit, who probably was going to take him. That's probably what their rationale was for getting in front of Detroit, was trading up to get in front of Detroit, because they thought he kind of has that New England Patriots feel, which is why I mocked him to the Patriots in the first round. And the Lions want to be the Patriots so bad that he probably was going to be the pick at 75. So I don't know. They just took an edge rusher though. Did the Lions? They just took Julian Okwara. He's going to play with his brother Romeo in Detroit. So that's a good pick for the Saints. Anyway, Jeff Gladney, really solid corner out of TCU. I love the Vikings draft, and I love the fact that they were able to move back, acquire picks, and still get guys to fill positions of needs on their football team. So thank you for the super chat, Sean. Jason Files, thank you for the super chat, Jason Files. Greatly appreciate it. Jason Files writes, why not Josh Jones? Kind of spoke to that already. I don't know. I can say this. I do know. He wasn't valued as high on their board. That's why. If they valued Josh Jones higher than Antonio Gibson, and left tackle is clearly a bigger need than running back / wide receiver, they would have taken Josh Jones. But they didn't value him as high as they did wide receiver. They didn't value him as high as they did Antonio Gibson. Hence the pick. So that's essentially what it is. I mean, he's a big dude. I know I see a lot of you saying 4.39 because he ran a 4.39 in the combine, which is blazing fast, by the way. And he's a 230 pounds, but he doesn't have a position. That's my problem, is that he's positionless. And if this were the NBA, I'd be ecstatic. It's the NFL. And so what you're telling me essentially is we just drafted Percy Harvin. We just drafted Tavon Austin. While that sounds good, I'm not really looking forward to that. I'm not elated at drafting Tavon Austin or Percival Harvin. Sorry, I'm not. Jonah Jackson, guard out of Ohio State, is the selection for the Detroit Lions. So that's the pick. And they just showed Bill Belichick at his crib, and he's straight cooling, man. He's at his kitchen table. Like, Belichick has no style at all, doesn't care. Got his husky in the chair sitting next to him. That's pretty cool. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Thank you for the super chat, Jason Files. Barrett Downing said, my man BD. Double up. Thank you for the super chat, BD. Greatly appreciate you. BD says, I ain't tripping. I'm sure that there's a method to the madness at 66. And that's kind of the approach I'm taking. I don't love the pick, but I know that Ron's plan includes competition, and they're not really sold on most of the roster. They're coming in and treating the roster like, hey, I don't know you, and because I don't know you, I'm going to make sure that I got guys that can, come on, Jason, make sure your daughter's got some tights or something on, man. Got the young in here with no shorts. You know, some pervs out here watching the show. Anyway, hold on, the Bucks are up. Let's see what they do.
The M&Ms, they're still within reach, and they are getting lower. I promise you.
Yeah, your M&M's getting low, my wine's getting low.
2020 NFL draft,
We even.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Keyshawn Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn, running back out of Vandy, man. He runs hard. He's an underrated back in this draft. Let's check out the running back position real quick, see what's left, and I'll assess if that was a good spot for him or not. I would have took Zach Moss before him. I would have took Rico Dowdle before him. I would have took Darrington Evans before him. Keyshawn Vaughn is interesting, though. And he's a talented running back. Don't get it twisted. But there are other backs on the board at this point that I would have taken before him. But they like Keyshawn Vaughn. Good for them. I'm with you, Barrett. I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping at all. I'm gonna go back and do some more work on him because there's got to be a reason that they love this dude. And I'm not one of these guys that gets caught up on, 40 times and size. It's more to that. It's more to being a football player than size and speed. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go do my homework on him, and I'll come back and report to y'all what I find. I gave you my initial synopsis on the pick. I don't love it. As I mentioned to you, he's a returner. And this is what Memphis has produced the last couple of years, if you've been paying attention. The Cowboys just drafted one of these dudes last year in Tony Pollard. He's exactly the same guy. He's bigger and he's faster. Tony Pollard was a 4.52 guy, if I'm not mistaken. And I generally don't forget what these guys run or all of that stuff and what I saw on tape. But Tony Pollard set the NCAA record. He tied for the most kick return touchdowns. This guy was a kick return threat. He was a receiver, which Tony Pollard was. He was a running back, which Tony Pollard was. So he essentially took over the Tony Pollard role at Memphis this past year, and he was good at it. But that being said, again, that's not what I thought the Redskins were going to do at 66. So, Christian Peterson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Christian writes, what's your opinion on Jacksonville's picks so far in C.J. Henderson, Kayvon Chason? Okay, let me just stop you right there. I love those picks. Then they took Laviska Shenault Jr. Personally, I'm loving what Dave Caldwell is doing. Let me ask you this, Christian, if you're a Jaguars fan. When have you ever not loved what Dave Caldwell has done? I've always said that Dave generally doesn't miss in the draft. Okay? Name me a draft that you walked away from saying, man, Dave stunk it up this year. Dave always hits in the draft. Always. Just like Cincinnati. You say what you want about the Bengals. They don't miss very often in the draft. They do a good job of drafting talent. Now, how does that talent develop at the next level is up to your coaching staff. But in terms of getting guys that are highly talented and skilled coming out of college to the pros, Dave Caldwell is as astute at identifying talent and finding a way to end up in the right spot to select it, more so than any other general manager in the league. All right, I will stake my claim to that. All right, I will put my name on Dave Caldwell and say, look, you say what you want about Dave Caldwell. He knows how to identify talent. And he did it again. He did it again this year. I love the Jacksonville Jaguars draft, but then again, I usually love their draft every single year, okay? I've always said that the Jacksonville Jaguars, despite their record most years, they're usually one of the more talented teams. The problem is they usually don't have a guy at the quarterback position, which is what's holding them back. And you could contend, the one position that I thought Dave Caldwell has really not done his team any service at is wide receiver. And Laviska Shenault is going to come in and help change that. But the receiver position has always been the one position that I felt like they could do better at, and quarterback as well. That's held them back as well. But when you look at the rest of the team and all the talent, they've always done a tremendous job of drafting. And I think they've continued to do that this year as well. Let's see. Thank you for the super chat. Hong Kong Fooey. Double up. Uh-oh. We got a little one in the cameras. Look at her. She's so cute. Oh man, that's funny. Whose house is that?
That is Booger McFarland.
They said that's Booger's house, I guess. I don't know. That was cute though. Anyway, Hong Kong Fooey says, "Oh no, Devin Thomas again in the third round for the pick." Hey, don't do that to Antonio Gibson, man. All right, the Broncos pick is in. Let's see what they do.
In the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Michael Ojemudia, defensive back, Iowa.
Michael Ojemudia is the pick for Iowa. I can't tell you much about him because I didn't do my homework on Michael Ojemudia. I didn't get to him, so that's a guy that I'm gonna have to do some work on, but I didn't get to him. Anyhow, back to Hong Kong Fooey and his Devin Thomas analogy for our third round pick, Antonio Gibson. Don't put that on that man. We don't know what he's about. We don't know what his skill set translates to the NFL game. Don't do that to him. Devin Thomas was a raw prospect when we drafted him, and we had a bunch of goons in the front office when we drafted him. That was the same draft where we took Fred Davis. Who else did we take? Fred Davis, Malcolm Kelly, and Devin Thomas all in the second round. All of them turned out to be busts. Don't do that to Kyle Smith, man. He doesn't deserve that. Thank you for the super chat, Hong Kong Fooey. Got another super chat. This one from Trevor Patch. Trent practice partner for Chase being positive. That could, iron sharpens iron. That's what they say. But again, you got to get Trent in the building first. So a little far-fetched to say that that's going to help Chase out at this point, with Trent not wanting anything to do with this organization at this point. So kind of hard to say that he'll help Chase in any way, shape, or form as we sit here right now. Let's get to some more super chats. CMG87, thank you for the super chat. CMG87 writes, could Geis be gone with all the running backs in the room? Like I said, nobody's safe. I don't think they're going to get rid of Darius Geis, though. I think if he gets injured again, his spot could be in jeopardy. But as of right now, if he's healthy, I would assume Darius Geis is a part of this team's long-term future. But he's got to stay healthy. 2 years of nothing but injury-filled seasons, of limited exposure on the field because of him not being able to stay healthy, I think is wearing thin on a lot of people in that building. And at this point, with Rivera coming in, knowing the injury history, look, he got to see the best of Darius Geis last year. The best game of his career was in Carolina last year. So he knows what he's capable of when he's healthy, but he hasn't been healthy often enough. So that's the problem with Geis. But here's the Atlanta Falcons at 78.
The 78th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Matt Hennessy, center, Temple.
Matt Hennessy, tough, hard-nosed center out of Temple, or as they like to say, Temple tough. And that's a good pick for the Atlanta Falcons. But CGM 87, I don't think Geis is going anywhere. Now, if Geis were to get injured, that changes things. If he gets injured again, he could potentially be on the chopping block. But if he's healthy, I think Darius Geis is a part of the long-term future of the Washington Redskins. He's got to prove himself, as do many other guys on this roster. As you see, Ron and Kyle aren't playing. All right? Dudes aren't safe. They're bringing in people to compete. And while a lot of the guys on the roster currently may ultimately lock down their spots, they're not playing around. They're bringing in guys to compete, and you're going to have to force them to say, okay, you're the right man for the job. So you're going to have to continue to show that you belong here. And I think Geis is one of those guys that is going to have to prove he belongs. Thank you for the super chat. Tylenol. What's going on, Tylenol? I've been waiting on you. What's going on, Tylenol? Thank you for the super chat, Tylenol. He writes, they have studied time and time again all of the players on their board. The one mistake some teams make is they shy away from their board, and then there is chaos. Keep the faith. And that's what I'm pretty much banking on, is the fact that they've done their homework. They have a draft board that they've put together. All right, they've been doing this all year long. They've done all of this work and all of this research to put themselves in a position that when the board unveils itself and players fall where they fall, and the pick reveals itself at 66, and you look up at your board, you go with the guy that you feel like is the best value. And Antonio Gibson was that for them. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to go do my homework. I'm not going to trash the pick. I don't agree with the pick as of right now. I may come back 2 hours after we sit down and end this stream. I may come back 2 hours later and tell you, all right, man, I actually like the pick. I did it last year. I was not a huge fan of the Terry McLaurin pick. I came back 2 hours later after watching Terry McLaurin film and saying, okay, I stand corrected. I think this guy's legit. And look what Terry McLaurin ended up being for us in his rookie campaign. So I'm not going to chastise the pick. I'm not going to kill Kyle Smith. I'm not doing any of that because they may have gotten this right, you know? And let me reiterate this one more time. We do not know what they have in store for Antonio Gibson. And we don't even really know what this offense is going to look like under the tutelage of brand new offensive coordinator Scott Turner. So we can sit here and play GM all we want, but we have no idea. So Billy Amp, double up, for my man Billy. Thanks for the super chat, Billy Amp. Billy writes, Gibson better play receiver because not another running back. I think that they just look at his versatility and say, we can line him up anywhere and he'll create a mismatch. And I've already given you an example of how they could create a mismatch with him. Line him up in the backfield. NFL defenses are dumb in this regard. It doesn't matter where you line a guy up. They still allow for a linebacker to cover a guy if he's been assigned the running back position. Teams will then assign that running back a linebacker. And if you line up with Antonio Gibson as your running back, that team is going to then put a linebacker on him. That's a mismatch. He runs a 4.39. He's got the ability, I'm assuming, to run routes like a wide receiver. You've essentially given the Redskins free reins to take advantage of whatever linebacker you've put on him one-on-one, especially if it's man-to-man coverage. So we'll see what they decide to do with him. PJ Black, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. PJ Black, who writes, what up, Lou? Not overly excited about Gibson, but if he can fit in with wide receivers Terry, Sims Jr., that's some serious speed out there. You ain't lying, bro. Falcons got back-to-back picks. Let's see what happens.
The New York Jets select
Okay.
Zuniga.
All right, so the Jets go edge rusher Jabari Zuniga. Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't think the Falcons had back-to-back picks. 79th overall, Jabari Zuniga, edge rusher out of Florida. Had some injuries last year, battled through those, but man, when you want to talk about explosive and dynamic ability off the edge, Jabari Zuniga is it. Let's take a look at the edge rushers and see what that looks like right now. AJ Epineza finally comes off the board to the Buffalo Bills in the second round. Zach Bond just came off the board to New Orleans in the third round. Yetur Gross-Matos went to the Panthers in the second. Jonathan Grenard is still available. Terrell Lewis still available. Jabari Zuniga just came off the board to the New York Jets in the third round. I like that pick for them. Travis Gibson still available. Darrell Taylor came off the board in a surprise move by the Seattle Seahawks in the second round. They actually traded up to get him. Julian Okwara out of Notre Dame went to the Detroit Lions early in the third round, I believe, one of the first picks of the third round. So that's where we are right now in the edge rusher department. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edge rushers have been taken to this point. So edge rushers are coming off the board now as we start to get deep into the third round. And PJ Black makes a great point. If Gibson is able to fit in, you're talking Sims Jr., you're talking Terry McLaurin and Gibson. All of these guys are probably sub 4.4 guys. So we went from at one point the Redskins not having enough speed to now the Redskins having an abundance of speed. So we've gotten faster on offense. That is for sure with Antonio Gibson. Thank you for the super chat. Chris Lou, thank you for the super chat. As always, greatly appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. The Blocker, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. The Blocker says, Average 11 yards rushing and 20 yards per reception. Don't sleep. No one sleep. We just didn't agree with the pick. All right. But let's again, numbers can be sometimes be misleading. All right. Let's listen to this Raiders pick. They got two in a row. It's the first of the two.
As we join you tonight in honoring Rico's memory by making this next pick.
I'm out of wine. That's a problem.
With the 80th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Lynn Bowden, running back, Kentucky.
So Lynn Bowden Jr. is the pick. He's similar in what we just drafted in Antonio Gibson, except the quarterback thing. But this is a guy that played quarterback, running back, wide receiver, all for Kentucky. And he's very versatile. Probably more of a slot / running back at the next level. Probably more of a slot receiver than anything else. But he's got some ability at the next level. So I'm anxious to see what the Raiders decide to do with him because he's definitely a talented guy at the next level. But back to the blocker who says he averaged 11 yards per attempt rushing and 20 yards per reception. Don't let the numbers fool you, okay? It's all about attempts, okay? Because I can tell you, hey, I averaged 44 yards per rushing attempt. I only had 3 rushes, but I averaged 44 yards per attempt because one of those rushes was for 88 yards. Like, you can't allow the numbers to cloud your judgment. You got to look at his numbers, and then you got to look at who they came against. If he ate Troy up for 224 yards rushing on just 12 carries, but against elite competition, it wasn't the same. You got to kind of balance that kind of stuff. So I'll go back. I'll look. I'll assess everything. I'll see what he did against elite talent. You know, when he played against good teams, how did he fare? And how did his yards come? Did they spread everybody out and then hand him the ball with no big guys on the field, a bunch of DBs on the field, and that's how he got his big runs? How did his catches look? Did they just send him on a 9 route and he beat some poor defenseless running linebacker because he was lined up in the backfield and they got a mismatch, which is fine because the Redskins could do the same thing. But you got to look at how these numbers were amassed. You can't just look at the numbers and say, hey, average 20 yards per reception, 11 yards per carry, because those numbers can be misleading. I can make numbers dance and make you feel like, man, those are some really good numbers. I can make anybody can take numbers and make them fit whatever narrative they want. That's why numbers can be misleading. People say all the time, you know, no, people lie, numbers don't, or numbers don't lie, people do. Numbers can lie if used correctly. All right, they can be very, very misleading. So, anyhow, thank you for the super chat, the blocker. I'm not asleep. I'm just not all the way awake. That's all. I ain't sleep though. Let's see if we got some more super chats. Got a super chat here from Brandon Brantley. Thank you for the super chat, Brandon Brantley. Greatly appreciate it. Brandon writes, med staff would need to cure COVID for 71 to come back. Pretty much, I don't think you're going to see Trent Williams back in a burgundy and gold uniform. I've said that already. I don't think he's going to be back. But stranger things have happened. You know, we've seen guys that swore they weren't going to play for a team and ended up coming back and playing for that exact team. The Raiders take Lynn Bowden Jr. and wide receiver Bryan Edwards in back-to-back picks. I love Bryan Edwards. Really good receiver out of South Carolina. Really talented football player. Outside of Damon Arnett, the Raiders have actually had a pretty good draft. And you know what? Damon Arnett might actually turn out to be a really good corner, okay? But Bryan Edwards, he was everything for South Carolina offensively at receiver. They had nothing else at wide receiver. Because remember, Deebo Samuel was there last year. He left, and all they had was Bryan Edwards. And he did everything. He ran jet sweeps. He caught the slants. He caught the go balls. He caught the post. He caught the dig route. He caught the comeback. He did everything for that offense this year. So that's a really good pick. I would have preferred the Redskins, even though I thought it was a little early for him at 66. I would have preferred the Redskins take him over Antonio Gibson. I could be singing a different tune. Again, I gotta watch the tape. Okay, so don't. I'm not gonna again chastise the Redskins for taking Antonio Gibson because I gotta go do some more film study. 2 games isn't enough for a guy that played multiple positions. So I'm gonna go back and watch some more. So Adam Manning, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Adam Manning writes, running back, man, what about Peterson or all the free agents we got? Shouldn't we have picked someone more impactful? Let me know your thoughts. Hold on, Dallas Cowboys pick at 82.
Defensive tackle, Oklahoma.
Again, overkill. They went out and they signed 2 defensive tackles. I think this spells the end of the line for one of their defensive tackles that's due like $8 million this year. He might be a post-June 1 cut. I forget his name. I can see his face. I can't think of his name. But the fact that they went out and they signed Dontari Poe, they went out and signed Gerald McCoy, and now they just drafted Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma, tells me that the Dallas Cowboys have no intentions of bringing back one of their defensive linemen that's due $8 million this year. They're going to cut him and try to save some money against the cap because that's overkill if you're going to keep him. So Neville Gallimore is the pick, and he's a guy that just plays with relentless energy, man. I don't know if he's going to be a sack guy at the next level, but I do know this. He's a hell of a one-gap penetrator. Quick off the snap, plays with a energy that's infectious. I like the pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And remember, they drafted a defensive tackle last year as well. So keep that in mind. I don't think that they're going to bring back one of those guys. I can't think of his name. Anyhow, back to Adam Manning's super chat. And he says, what about Peterson? What about Peterson? He's on his last legs. He could actually not make this team. Think about that for a second. He's going to make the team. But think about it for a second. With all the moves they've made at running back, Adrian Peterson's 34 years old. He could theoretically not make the team. But this is his last year in Washington, so you really don't want to think about him because if you're looking big picture, he's not a part of the future. He's a part of the present, but not a part of the future. You said, or all the free agents we got. That's the question. Obviously, this guy has some of the same vibes. He gives me the J.D. McKissick vibes. Ex-wide receiver in college, turned running back. I don't know. And he might be the other way around. He might be more of a college running back turned wide receiver that's going to play receiver at the next level. We'll see. We'll see. But he says, shouldn't we have picked someone more impactful? How do you know he's not going to be impactful? We don't know this. We don't know. Which is why I'm going to watch the tape. I'm going to do intensive film study on Antonio Gibson. And I'm going to come back and report my findings. And I'll let you know if I feel like this was a mistake or the Redskins potentially got themselves a steal. I can tell you right now, the measurables say that the Redskins potentially got a steal. 6 feet, 230 pounds, running a 4.39. Those measurables right there sound good to me. I want to see how they translate onto the football field. So, and how he can be used. Anyhow, and I see some people in the comment section saying put his highlights on. I don't do highlights. I want to watch the game. I want to see how you perform throughout the course of a game. Highlights are easy to consume. They're fun, but that doesn't show me if you fumbled the ball on 3rd and 2 in a critical carry in the game. That doesn't show me if you dropped a key pass in the 4th quarter on 3rd and 6. That doesn't show me that. That's not what highlights do. So I got to watch the game. I don't like talking about highlights. Let's see what else we got. Derek B says, I think, oh, wait, hold on. I got a super chat. Got a super chat. Um, this next super chat is from my man Curtis Owens. Thank you for the super chat, Curtis Owens. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat and the contribution. Curtis writes, Gibson's measurements are comparable to Harmon. However, he has something Harmon lacks: speed and positional versatility. Wasn't high on the pick initially, but after some quick digging, he could be productive for us. I don't doubt that. Now, remember, um, Gibson is 6 and some change in terms of height. Harmon is a legit 6'2", probably 6'2" and some change, maybe 6'1" and some change, close to 6'2". Either way, Harmon's 6'2". Let's call him 6'2". So height-wise, they're not comparable, but size-wise, they are. Harmon's about a 220-pound wide receiver. Gibson's 230 pounds. If he's carrying 230 and able to run a sub 4.4, that's damn impressive. Okay. That being said, I'm gonna watch the tape. You know, again, I'm not gonna sit here and over criticize the pick. I didn't agree with it initially, but the film doesn't lie. The tape doesn't lie. The eye in the sky, that's my guy. And he doesn't lie. All right. So I'm going to find out what's really good with Antonio Gibson. I'm going to put on 5 games or so and really get a good feel for him. And then I'm going to report back to y'all what I find. And if what I find is that we got ourselves a diamond in the rough, I'll tell you that. If I find that we got ourselves a gadget guy that could easily be the next Tavon Austin, I'm going to tell you that too. And that's not really reassuring. If I tell you, hey man, this dude is a bona fide Tavon Austin, because the only thing he has that Tavon doesn't is 230. Everything else, and Tavon probably wasn't 6 feet, so, and some change. This guy's like 6 feet and some change. Tavon Austin was a lot shorter, but if I come back and tell you, hey, he Tavon Austin, man, that's a problem. Okay, it's a real big problem. Remember, I don't want you to forget how good Tavon Austin was at West Virginia. Okay, Tavon Austin was good enough to be a first-round pick at West Virginia. Don't forget that. So, if I come back and tell you he's Tavon Austin, we got a problem on our hands. So, hey, I thank you for the super chat, Curtis Owens, man. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to do my own digging. You did your digging, and you found that you think he could be really useful. I hope I do some digging and find the same exact thing. Chris Lou with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Lou. I greatly appreciate that, man. Let's get up to speed on some of these picks. I've been kind of slacking on the last couple of picks. I know the Cowboys were 82nd. I think I missed the 83rd pick in the draft. Let's see. Yep. The 83rd pick, offensive lineman Lloyd Cushenberry II out of LSU. He's a center, really athletic, really good move center. Makes a lot of sense for the Denver Broncos. Got to protect their investment. They went out and got all these weapons for Drew Lock. Well, guess what? Those weapons don't do you any good if you can't keep Drew Lock upright. So Lloyd Cushenberry helps you in the run game. Lloyd Cushenberry helps you in the passing game. It's a good pickup for the Denver Broncos. The Rams, their pick is in. They keep talking about quarterbacks with the Rams. So it leads me to believe that maybe the Rams are thinking about taking a quarterback. Here's the decision. Here's the pick.
NFL draft. The Los Angeles Rams select Terrell Lewis.
Edge rusher, Terrell Lewis out of Alabama. And I talked about edge rusher for the Rams in the second round. That makes a ton of sense for me. Quarterback, they keep talking quarterback with the Rams. Not this early. They think they're in win now mode. All right, you're not picking a quarterback here in the third round when you didn't have a first round pick. Doesn't make any sense. Terrell Lewis is an edge rusher. He's raw as hell, okay? But he's explosive and dynamic as hell as well. And so I think that's what they're going to point to. You lose Dante Fowler Jr. in the offseason. Terrell Lewis is a really good replacement. But he's got some growing to do at the position. Let's take a look at edge rusher real quick while we have a moment. And then we'll get back to the super chats and talk about these picks. So, AJ Epinesa gone to the Bills. Zach Bond gone to the Saints. Yetur Gross-Matos gone to the Panthers. Jonathan Grenard still available. Terrell Lewis now gone to the Rams. Jabari Zuniga gone to the Jets. Travis Gibson still available. Darrell Taylor gone to the Seahawks. Julian Okwara gone to the Lions. So, of my top 11 edge rushers, 9 of them are gone already. So, edge rushers coming off the board. Let's get back to the comment section, however. And Chris Lou, thank you for the super chat. Again, greatly appreciate you, Chris Lou. I don't know if we or we but we I appreciate you. Chris Lou says, Josina Anderson just tweeted she got off the line with Adrian Peterson, who has a nice update on something else later. This could be Trent. Could this be Trent related? It could be. It could not be. You know? We'll see. Remember, Adrian Peterson was the same dude that told us he thought that Trent Williams was coming back. So every time we hear something from Adrian Peterson involving Trent Williams, we always think it's the gospel because he's close friends with Trent Williams. But it doesn't mean shit, you know? So we'll see. It sounds good. And I hope there's some good news there, but I'm not holding my breath. Look, at the end of the day, if we don't trade Trent, is Trent really in a position to sit out another year? Didn't play football last year, sitting out 2 consecutive years. Do you think that's advantageous for you to get a big contract on the market after not having played football in essentially what amounts to 3 whole years? I don't see Trent sitting out this year, man. So the good news might be, hey, Trent's open to playing for the Redskins. Yeah, I know, for $12.5 million. I get it. I understand. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Lou. Greatly appreciate that. See if we got any more super chats. We do. Let's see. Curtis Owen says Gibson is 6'2", 220. That is not what he measured out at. If you going on some random ass site, because I'm looking at the NFL site, they measured him at the combine. So he's not 6'2". If you just go to some random ass site, they'll tell you, hey, look, I was 6'2" in high school. Bruh, I'm 6 feet tall. Okay? I was 6'2" in high school. They always give you a couple extra inches in the program. All right? So I was 6'2". I'm not 6'2". I'm 6 feet. All right? And I looked him up already. He's 6 feet, bruh. He's 6 and some change. He's not 6'2". But I'm going to just make sure that I ain't tripping. I'm going to look him up one more time to make sure that I got it right. But I'm pretty sure I'm right on this because I already looked him up. But I'm going to look him up. Let's see. He is 6 feet, 228. That's what he measured out at the combine. So don't come at me with 6'2", 220. That sounds good. The man is 6 feet, 230. Okay? Let's round those numbers off. He's 6 feet, 230. That's what we rolling with. Okay? Let's not make stuff up. And again, you probably got that from somewhere where we got another pick. Colts make a pick. They take Julian Blackmon. And the Bills pick is in. And I think Raj is about to announce that. So let's catch up.
Utah.
So they take running back Zach Moss out of Utah. And I thought the Buccaneers should have taken Zach Moss. Now, Zach's got some injury history. Maybe that scared the Bucs away. And I get that. I totally get it. He's dealt with a number of injuries throughout his career. However, he's a much better back than the one they took out of Vanderbilt. Okay? And, They took Keyshawn Vaughn. So Zach Moss is a guy that I think has immense potential in this league. Some people call him baby beast mode. That's how good he can be. So I personally think the Buccaneers made a mistake passing on Zach Moss for Keyshawn Vaughn. But Keyshawn Vaughn is no slouch. But Zach Moss to me is a much better running back. But the Bills needed a running back. I chastised them earlier for not taking Moss. He's not fast. He's not a burner by any stretch of the imagination. He's fast enough. But I thought they should have taken J.K. Dobbins. They didn't. They instead elected for the edge rusher, A.J. Epineza. I don't have a problem with that. They double back, get Zach Moss. I think they did a good job in filling the void they had at running back. So, thank you for the super chat, Curtis Owens. The Great Watubi, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Great Watubi says, maybe you should buy some whiskey for tomorrow's rounds. I don't really consume rounds 4 through 7. I just pretty much get the updates on my phone, see the most notable picks. I don't really know where everyone ended up until I sit down and analyze it. But that final day of the draft, that Saturday, I usually just take that day off because Thursday is usually a long whirlwind day for me. And I know that's kind of an oxymoron. Whirlwind and long really don't go in the same sentence, but that's essentially how it feels. It's really long, but it's quick, but it's crazy. My head is spinning. And usually by Saturday, I don't even have a voice left. You know how hard it is to do a show for 4 hours in consecutive days? Usually I don't have a voice after Friday's show. So I don't need whiskey for tomorrow because I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm chilling tomorrow. But I'll probably be back tonight after I watch Antonio Gibson, and I'm going to report back to you guys ASAP. That's going to probably be the first thing I do after this stream ends and we get done with the third round. I'm going straight to Antonio Gibson tape to get to the bottom of this situation and tell you guys what it is I think the Redskins have done here at 66. So thank you for the super chat, Great Watubi. And whiskey, man, that shit's pretty damn strong. You got to have a palate for whiskey. I'm not a whiskey guy because that shit doesn't necessarily go down smooth. Anyway, Patriots are up. Let's see what they do.
2020 NFL Draft. The New England Patriots select Anthony Jennings, linebacker, Alabama.
Boy, I need Raj to get better at reading these names. His name is Anthony. Come on now. Penny Hardaway's name is Anthony. How do you not know how to say Anthony? It's not hard. Anyway, Anthony Jennings is the pick for the Patriots. Makes a ton of sense. Another, you know what's crazy? Did I not say he was a Patriot? Did I not say that? I think I said that on my Edge Rusher show. I said, man, Anthony Jennings is the quintessential New England Patriot. Why? Because he's a do-your-job type of guy. He doesn't try to play outside of the defense. He doesn't try to play outside of himself. He plays within the scheme as much as I've seen of any linebacker in college football. What does that say? At the next level, New England Patriot. Damn, that was perfect fit. Perfect fit. Anyhow, back to the super chats. Got another one from Chris Lou. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. CMG 87 or CGM, excuse me. CGM 87. You here with it, bruh. You've been really active tonight. Thank you for the super chat. CGM 87 says Gibson just told Smoot he picked running back over wide receiver. Shaking my head. So that tells you what he views himself as. And when you're 230 pounds at 6 feet, you sound more like a running back than a wide receiver. But again, think about this. If he views himself as a wide receiver, or a running back, excuse me, it's okay. Why is it okay? Because it creates mismatches. If he is as dynamic a wide receiver as he is a return man and a running back, guess what? When you split him out, when you send him in motion against a backer, if he's got wide receiver type skills, that's going to lead to some real opportunities to get the football down the field. So think about that for a second. He may prefer to be a running back. The Redskins may view him in a Christian McCaffrey type light, and he's not Christian McCaffrey. Don't get it twisted. All right, those don't grow on trees. But they see him as a running back that can catch it out of the backfield. You know who this spells trouble for is J.D. McKissick. If they view him as a running back that can catch it. If they view him as a wide receiver that can play running back, then J.D. McKissick may be okay. And what we're going to find is the rest of the draft is going to tell us what they view him as. If we don't hear from Ron Rivera and Kyle Smith first, the rest of the draft is going to tell us how they view him. Because if they take another wide receiver, then they definitely don't see him as a wide receiver. If they don't take another wide receiver, then all bets are off. Maybe they do see him as a wide receiver. So that's something to consider. But anyway, let's see. All right, so I think that's the last super chat right there. So now we can get to the comment section. All right, so if you're out there and you want to have your comment read, remember super chat's the easiest way to have it done. If you're not super chatting, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. So I'm going to get to some comments. Derek B, my man Derek B, thank you for the comment, says 6 feet 220 is plenty big enough. That's 40 pounds bigger than Paul Richardson's bony ass and just as fast. I hear you, but again, the tape don't lie. So we're going to get to that. Got a super chat, so I'm going to go ahead and read that one real quick. Why you got to take shots at Paul Richardson, man? It didn't work here. Leave Paul Richardson out of this. Y'all are some savages, man. This one is from my man, Rashard Brooks. Thank you for the super chat, Rashad Brooks. Greatly appreciated, Rashad. He says, what do you think will happen with the Trent trade now that the Vikings took an offensive tackle? He has messed up bad. I don't think anything's going to happen right now. Like, the Redskins had said going into the draft, even if we don't trade Trent, we're not tripping. We're not giving him away. We're not tripping if we don't trade him. We're fine. He's under contract. Remember, Rivera has said this over and over again. He's under contract. So that gives you and I told you guys this on the video that I did after Rivera talked on that press conference for 30 minutes with the media, where he did a Zoom conference with the media. And I said, the fact that he said Trent is under contract tells you his thought process. I'm not giving this man away, and if we don't find a suitable trade partner that's willing to give us the compensation we're looking for, we'll just hold on to him. When you hear a guy say he's still under contract, that tells you all you need to know it gives you a look into their mind as to what they're thinking. And that said to me, hey, bruh, I'm not pressed, okay? If we find a trade partner, great. We wash our hands clean of Trent. If we don't, he's still on the contract. Either he plays for us or he plays for nobody. I'm good. I'm going to still eat. I'm going to still sleep at night. I'm good. Now, Trent, if he wants to miss out on $12.5 million for a second consecutive season, that's on him. That ain't on me. All right? I'm getting my bread from Daniel Snyder. I'm good. My family's taken care of. If you want to miss out on another year of earning potential, that's on you, bro. That's on you. So Ron has already made it abundantly clear his stance. Either we get the compensation we're looking for, or we good. He's under contract. He either plays for us or you play for nobody. It's up to you. You can do what you want to do. This ain't in living color, but you can do what you want to do. All right? But this ain't in living color. All right. Let's see. Let's get back to the comment section. Thank you for the super chat, Rashad Brooks. I honestly don't think that we're going to trade Trent during the draft, at least. I think if Trent is traded, it's at this point, it's starting to look less and less likely. Now, if someone goes down in camp, a team that thinks they're a contender has their tackle go down in camp, if there is camp, excuse me, that's when a Trent Williams trade would come back into focus, excuse me, because he would be the hottest name and the biggest name out on the market. But as of right now, after seeing what everyone has done in the draft, every team that we thought could potentially be on the list of teams, and it was a short list. It was the Jets, it was the Browns, it was the Cardinals, it was the Vikings, it was the Dolphins, it was the Texans. Every team that we thought was on that short list of teams that could potentially need a tackle, they took care of that this weekend. The Texans re-signed Laramie Tunsil. Shit, that any thoughts of Trent potentially being a replacement for him, that's dead. And I never thought that they were going to give us anything for him after they gave up all the compensation that they did to get Laramie Tunsil. There was no way that they were going to trade for Trent, but that's dead. Browns, 88th overall. Let's see what the Browns do.
We encourage you to keep them coming. We made a difference, and we've raised millions of dollars already, and we hope to do more. And remember, the NFL is matching all of your donations, so we hope you'll keep it coming tonight. With the 88th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, Missouri.
That's a great pick. That's my third defensive tackle in this draft. Sitting here for the Browns to take at 88 in the third round. That's tremendous value there if you're the Cleveland Browns. The numbers don't bear it out at Missouri. He was a late bloomer in terms of his potential. Look, this guy was a 5-star recruit to Missouri. Didn't live up to the hype until the latter portion of his collegiate career. But you see the talent, man. When you watch this guy, you're like, look, if this guy can ever put it together for a sustained amount of time, he could be dangerous at the next level. Look at his body type. If you're watching right now, look at his body type, man. He's got the type of body that screams, I could be a beast at the next level. So I look at Jordan Elliott and I say to myself, if this young man is dedicated and he's willing to put in the work and they put him in positions to succeed, he's not only a guy that can stop the run, I think more importantly, I think he can get after the quarterback. His skill set says he can get after the quarterback. So there is that. Anyhow, so far, so good for the Browns in this draft. I think they've done a phenomenal job of acquiring talent this draft thus far. Anyhow, thank you for the super chat, Rashad Brooks. No more super chats. Let's get back to the comment section. Let's see. Got a comment here from DMV Pride 10. He says, Louie T is going to watch him break one for a touchdown every other play. LOL. The Vikings are on the clock, 89th overall.
Cameron Dantzler.
They take cornerback Cameron Dantzler out of Mississippi State. Did not run well at the combine, but doesn't take away from the fact that guy is extremely talented at the cornerback position. Got size, got length. He's rail thin. He's like 6'2", but like a $185, like a $188, something in that general vicinity. He's not a big dude, but when you watch him on tape, you see talent with Cameron Dantzler. And so that's a good pick for the Vikings. And as I've said, Mike Zimmer is, to me, the best at identifying talent at the cornerback position. And what's a draft without Mike Zimmer drafting at least one corner? He's doubled down already. In 3 rounds, he's drafted 2 corners already. So Mike Zimmer doing what Mike Zimmer does best, and that's draft corners. DMV Pride 10 says, I'm going to see him break every other play for a touchdown. We'll see about that. I'm not watching highlights. Highlights is when you break for a touchdown every other play. I'm not watching highlights. I'm watching games. So Thomas Salvati says, as an Eagles fan, I'm beginning to question the Eagles' faith in Wentz. I don't think the pick of Jalen Hurts is an indictment on Wentz from a standpoint of we don't believe in him as a starter. It's them saying we don't believe you can stay healthy. That's what that says. If they thought Carson Wentz could stay healthy, They would just go get some run of the mill, random, standard backup quarterback in this league. You know, you go get Chase. You go get Chase. What's his name? Um, um, Shucks. Oh man, I can see his face. He used to play for y'all. Y'all gave him a contract in it and benched him for Wentz, as a matter of fact. You go get one of those dudes. Hold on. Texans pick is in.
The Houston Texans select Jonathan Grenard, linebacker.
That's a great pick. That's my 5th rated edge rusher in this draft, Jonathan Grenard. This guy has some explosive ability. That's a great pick for the Houston Texans. Their defense just got immensely better tonight. I think they added an interior defensive lineman earlier in Ross Blacklock. Now they add Jonathan Grenard. This defense has a chance to be back to where they were a couple of years ago when they were one of the best units in all of football. Jonathan Grenard is a really good pass rusher off the edge. They added the Raiders traded their pick to New England. I told you the Patriots are going to trade up. They're going to package up picks. They had 13 picks coming into today. There was no way they were selecting 13 players. So they're going to package up picks, come up and get guys, and that's what they're doing here. And so the Patriots are now on the clock. I'm anxious to see who they're coming up to get. But Grenard, coupled with Ross Blacklock, coupled with J.J. Watt still on that defensive line, coupled with DJ Reader in your base sets, coupled with all of the guys that they have on that defense, really going to make for an interesting group out there in Houston with the Texans. But back to my man Thomas's comment about Wentz. I don't think they question faith in Wentz as a starter. They know Wentz, when he's healthy, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. It's all about Wentz and his ability to stay healthy. This is another season in which Wentz wasn't able to get you to the finish line. 3 years in a row, Wentz wasn't able to take the final snap of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a problem, okay? And because of that fact, they got to protect themselves. And the way they feel like they need to do that is to get a young quarterback that if Wentz were to go down, their season doesn't go with Wentz. It doesn't go with him. And so Jalen Hurts stops you from feeling like your season is doomed because Wentz is injured yet again. But I don't think they are lacking in faith in Wentz. When he's healthy and he's right, he's one of the best in the business. He's just got to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to do that. Rod's getting real comfortable on that couch.
The New England Patriots, with the 91st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots have selected Devin Asiasi.
Shit! Damn! I was about to use it. I was about to drop an F-bomb. Devin Asiasi to the damn Patriots. I wanted him. Bad. I at least wanted the Redskins to have a chance at Devin Asiasi. God damn it. Patriots are having a really strong draft, man. They're building this shit up. I tell you what, I don't know how good Jarrett Stidham is in New England. They seem to have a lot of confidence in him. But if he's any good with the pieces that they're putting around that team, and not just offensively, but from a defensive standpoint, they're going to build that defense up. You've seen what they've done defensively. Kyle Duggar, Anthony Jennings, all of these guys that they've drafted. I think they drafted one more person too. I think I'm forgetting a guy. Let's look at the Patriots picks real quick. Let's see what the Patriots have done. Let's go to the Patriots real quick and see who they've drafted to this point. The Patriots have drafted Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche. You know what I always think of? That Martin episode with Prince Uche. Some of y'all probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But Josh Uche out of Michigan, edge rusher. Anthony Jennings, edge rusher out of Alabama. And then boom, Devin Asiasi. They've done well for themselves tonight, man. The Patriots are doing some yeoman-like work. Seriously. Anyhow, back to the comments. Thomas said the Eagles. I'm gonna say this one more time. The Eagles have faith in Wentz, but they don't have faith in his ability to stay healthy. That's what that pick said to me. Um, I'm upset. Devin Asiasi, I wanted him on the board. He's not. It is what it is. I can't be mad. Redskins had a chance at him. They didn't value him at 66. I don't blame them for that, but you couldn't expect him to be there in the fourth round. It's not how this goes. Damn, Jerry can't even hold his own damn phone. Boy, it pays to have money, man. Jerry won't even hold his own damn phone. You got people holding the phone for him while he talks. Oh, man. Jerry Jones is a piece of work, man. Golly. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's get to some more comments. Comment here from Valor Watts. Should we grab a tight end, cornerback, or offensive lineman next? Again, all depends on how the draft falls. You know, we're starting to get into that territory where we're soon getting into the compensatory picks of the third round. So we're getting close to the end of the third round when you start seeing teams that were deep in the playoffs like Baltimore, Tennessee, and Green Bay. You know you're getting towards the end of the third round, but you still have to factor in the compensatory picks. You got to see what's available before you can start to identify. Look, all the tight ends essentially are available. Troutman's still available. Harrison Bryant, Bryant. What's his name? Harrison Bryant, and then the other one is something Bryant. Too many damn Bryants. You know what I mean? Shit. Pissed off that the damn Patriots just took Devin Asiasi. Sorry. Let's get to my list. How about we do that? Okay. Let's go to the tight ends because they're starting to come off the board a little bit. So Troutman's still available. Asiasi, who I really wanted. I didn't really want Troutman. I thought the Redskins would take him. I wanted Devin Asiasi. He's gone now. He's a Patriot. Cole Kmet's gone. He went to the Bears in the second round. Harrison Bryant and Hunter Bryant are still available. And so is everybody else on this list, for that matter. The tight end position still hasn't really been touched because, again, the value in this draft is in the fourth round. So expect tight ends to potentially start coming off the board. The Ravens have a pick. Let's see what they do.
In the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Texas.
Great. More speed for the Baltimore Ravens offense as if they needed it. Devin Duvernay, one of the fastest receivers in this draft, goes to the Baltimore Ravens, gives them a credible slot option at the receiver position. This guy can absolutely fly. Yeah, more speed for an offense that's already fast to goddamn enough. So look at the Ravens adding more speed to their football team. Anyway, Valor Watts asked what we should do next. I think they're going to go offensive tackle next and then tight end afterwards. And then I think after that, you start to see them look at other positions, potentially cornerback, wide. Well, we're going to find out if they view Gibson as a wide receiver or not. So I don't know if they see him as a receiver or a running back with some versatility or what may have you. We'll see what happens. JP says Denver is having a hell of a draft. Let's see what Denver has done since he brought Denver up. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos and see exactly what they've done to this point. The Denver Broncos have selected Jerry Jeudy in the first round, KJ Hamler in the second round, Michael Ojemudia in the third round, cornerback out of Iowa, and Lloyd Cushenberry in the third round as well. And they've got another pick coming up here at 95. They've had a really solid draft, have the Denver Broncos. Let's see. Killer XFN says, would you be mad if the Redskins got Thaddeus Moss in the fourth? I would be mad if he was the first of their fourth round picks. If he was their last fourth round pick, no, I wouldn't be upset at that. I wouldn't have a problem with that. At that point, I think because you're talking about essentially a fifth round pick, because a compensatory in the fourth is pretty much an extension of the fifth. You can look at it two ways. It's an extension of the fourth or it's an extension of the fifth. Either way, that's right around where he should go. So I wouldn't have any problems. If they use the first of their fourth round picks, I would have a problem with that because to me, there would be plenty of value available at that selection. Jam Graham Corkster, thank you for the comment. He says, I want Gibson to be our punt and kick returner. We desperately need one. And I think that's why we got him. That's cool. But how much of that is a part of today's game in the NFL? Kick returning and punt returning. How often does that actually change a game? Like punt returning, sure. You could field with the way we think our defense is going to be. You may field 7-8 punts a game, and so maybe he'll have a chance. But kick returner, how many teams are actually returning kicks? How many of these kicks are going out of the back of the end zone? How many are these knees out to the 25? Kick returners and punt returners don't have the impact that they once did in the league. So if that's why the Redskins drafted him, I'd be pissed off if they told me, hey, we really love this guy's return value. Like if that's the first thing they were promoting with Antonio Gibson, I'd be pissed because I'm saying to myself, you don't do that shit in the third round at 66. At the top of the third round. You do that shit in the fifth or the sixth round. You get a guy that can return kicks then. You don't do that in the third round. So I think that's the last of the reasons as to why the Redskins made this selection. I think they made this selection because of his versatility. Hey, we can line this guy up in the slot. We can line this guy up in the backfield. We can line this guy up out wide. We can use this guy as a kick returner, as a punt returner. They're thinking about all of the things he can do, not just one in particular. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know this for a fact. This is what I'm assuming. Thank you for the comment. Will Morales says, Gibson as tight end / HB hybrid. Nah, man, they're not using him at tight end. Nah, they're not using him at tight end, man. But what they will do is move him around. I will assure you of that. But they're not going to line him up at tight end. Thank you for that comment. Got another comment here from... let's see. I got a super chat. Let me get to these super chats. Got a super chat here from Captain Gaming. Thank you for the super chat, Captain Gaming. Greatly appreciated. Captain Gaming writes, why Malik Harrison not picked up yet? Because he falls into the same trap as all the rest of the Ohio State linebackers, inside backers, that is. They're big, they're thick, they're physical, they have some athleticism, but they're more of first and second down linebackers, can't cover on all three downs. They're not as useful on third down, so because of that, you put those guys in a box. One first and second down run stopping linebackers. And Harrison kind of fits into that box, and because of that, I think that's why you haven't seen his name called yet. Let's look at the linebacker position and where I have him. You're going to hear his name sooner rather than later, though. But I got Malik Harrison as my 6th rated linebacker in this draft. Quickly. 1, Isaiah Simmons gone. 2, Patrick Queen gone. 3, Kenneth Murray gone. All of those guys went in the first round. Logan Wilson was taken in the second round. Akeem Davis Gaither still available. Malik Harrison still available. Josh Uche still was taken by the New England Patriots. Troy Dye still available. Willie Gay Jr. taken by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's gone. Davion Taylor and Justin Sternad still available in this draft. So linebacker pretty much has been ravaged at this point now. Not many guys worthy of being taken at this point of the draft. I think you'll start to see some more names being called as we get to the 4th round. Maybe one more name in the 3rd round, but I think there's still, every bit of 13 more picks in the 3rd round. So you could see 1, maybe 2 more linebackers go. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find 2 that were worthy of a selection in this particular round. Akeem Davis Gaither or Malik Harrison, one or the other. I don't think you're going to see both of those guys go if any of them go at the back end of the third round. So thank you for that super chat, um, Captain Gaming. Greatly appreciate that super chat. So, got another super chat. CGM87. Thank you for the super chat. You've been extremely busy tonight. Greatly appreciate that. EDP lost his mind over Hurts, laughing my ass off. Um, I mean, again, if you're Titans making a pick, let's hear what it is.
NFL draft. The Tennessee Titans select Darrington Evans.
That's my guy.
Appalachian State.
Love that pick. Darrington Evans was my number 5 running back in this year's draft class. Really versatile. The more you watch him, the more you like him. He's got speed. A taller, angular back, but a guy that kind of shows you that vision, that ability to cut, make guys miss, and the speed to take it the distance. And so I fell in love with his game the more I watched him, and he moved up my draft board, ultimately became my number 5 back. And so Darrington Evans, really good pick for the Titans. I think he's a great complement to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's more of a power back. When Derrick gets revved up, he can run too, but Darrington Evans is a different type of back from Henry, a stark contrast, which would be like the yin and yang type of deal, and it's a good pickup for the Tennessee Titans there. EDP losing his mind. Look, at the end of the day, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not that upset. I mean, how many games do you want to lose because Carson Wentz gets injured? Carson Wentz sustains a concussion, can't come back. Carson Wentz turns his ankle, can't come back. Carson Wentz hurts his knee, can't come back. How many of these games you want to go through? Carson Wentz tears his ACL, our season's over. How many of these you want to go through before you say to yourself, all right, we got to have at least some type of backup plan? So, he could be pissed off if he wants, but I know exactly what the Eagles were thinking. I get it. And if you're an Eagles fan, you should get it too. You've watched this. You've lived it. Why would you be upset that they're drafting you an insurance policy? I don't understand. It's like living in Florida. See, I told you I lose my voice when I do these drafts. It's like living in Florida and not having renter's insurance or not having homeowner's insurance. You can get a hurricane at any time. You got to have that. Protect yourself. The Eagles have been walking around without insurance for at least one season, because when they had Nicholas Foles, they had insurance. They didn't have Nicholas Foles last year. Look what happened to their season. They could have beat Seattle in the playoffs. Green Bay Packers pick.
Green Bay Packers select Josiah DeGuara, tight end.
That's my guy, Josiah DeGuara. Josiah DeGuara out of Cincinnati. I told you guys I had a man crush on him, and that I thought, I would have been really happy if he would have ended up being a Washington Redskin. This is a guy that I looked at and I said, he's got some talent, man. He's not, and this is the thing, he's not sexy, not in terms of his size and his speed and all of that jazz. But I said, look, when you look at the tape and you watch this dude, he competes in the run game. He catches not everything. He catches the football well, good run after the catch. I liked Josiah DeGuara, and I told you, Josiah DeGuara was a guy that jumped onto my radar at the Combine, and I was impressed with him when I put on the tape, and the Green Bay Packers get him. Let's look at the tight end position, because the Redskins need a tight end, and they're starting to come off the board now. So Josiah DeGuara was my 9th tight end in this year's draft, and I wouldn't have minded if the Redskins would have selected him. I really would not have. And so you look at who's been taken. Devin Asiasi gone, Cole Kmet gone, Josiah DeGuara gone, but everybody else still available. So tight end position still really intact, for that matter. Adam Schefter's talking. When Adam talks, you speak. You listen.
Look, if you look at these quarterbacks out there at this time, it's not that unusual. You've got Jacob Eason from Washington, where scouts do some checking and they hear about some limitations. And then the similar story with Jake Fromm, physically limitations. But again, if you go back and look last year, Gardner Minshew, similar story, slides later, comes in and helps. But also, take a look at the quarterbacks still on the market. Jameis Winston, no job. Cam Newton still without a job. And quarterbacks don't have a lot of openings right now. You're looking at quarterbacks that can come in and win a roster spot. In a draft this deep, with so much talent, where scouts felt that the talent could come in and help out in rounds 3 and 4 and so on and so forth, it pushes some of these other quarterbacks down the board a little bit when there are the question marks, as there are with Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm. I think that's part of why they're still out there.
In terms of talent, in terms of value picks, as people like to say in the draft, what are general managers telling you about the depth of talent in this draft?
Listen, coming into the draft tonight, one personnel director told me today that there were 20 players that he considered good enough to go in the first round of the draft that would go in rounds 2 and 3 tonight. Normally there's 7 to 10. Felt it was the deepest draft in the second round in the last 25 years. That you'll see more starters in rounds 2 and 3 in this draft, or as many in rounds 2 and 3 as you'd see out of round 1. And so there's always been great depth in this draft. There's a lot of value in rounds 2 and 3, starting caliber players, and I think that's one of the reasons that you see guys like Fromm and Eason slide down the board a little bit, because teams see players that can help their rosters right away. And they don't view the quarterbacks in the same way right now, so they slide, the other quarterbacks move, and that's why I think personnel directors and scouts are so excited about this particular draft, Reese.
And because of that, you can see some disappointment, some frustration in those quarterbacks who are still waiting. Adam Schefter, our senior NFL.
All right, so y'all heard Adam just talk about, the quarterback position and the depth of this draft, and I talked about that. That same quote that he just gave you was the same exact quote I was talking about, and I think I got it from his Twitter feed, where he had talked to a player, a personnel director that said, look, I've been doing this for 25 years plus, haven't seen a draft this deep to where the second day you could get 20 starters out of the second day. It's usually 7 to 10. It's about 20 guys that are ultimately going to start and be key contributors for teams in this league. And so I talked about the depth. I talked about this draft being so deep that guys are going to get pushed back, and it happened. And you've seen guys get pushed back, guys that I value in this draft. Unfortunately for the Redskins, at the positions that we needed outside of tight end, which wasn't a particularly deep position to begin with, there wasn't much left for the taking when the Redskins were available on the clock at 66. But we'll see. Denver Broncos are up. Let's see what they do.
NFL draft. The Denver Broncos select McTelvin Agene, defensive tackle, Arkansas.
Boy, Raj looks like he's ready for a glass of milk in bed. See, he's not used to day two, excuse me. He usually turns day 2 over to his his next guy in charge, and he slides to the side, and they start letting all these randoms announce picks. This isn't what he's used to, and so he's feeling the effects of this virtual draft. He's getting his ass kicked right now. Raj is ready for bed, and he's starting to get deeper and deeper into that little couch, into that recliner he's got in his basement. Man, we might go back to Raj on one of these picks, and it might be one eye open, one eye closed, man. Raj is struggling over there. Hey, you got about 10 more picks, Raj. Hang in there, brother. I got another super chat. I'm going to go ahead and read that. From my man. Let me see. Make sure I ain't got another one. I got a super chat from my man, Derek B. Appreciate you, Derek B. As always, my man, Derek B. writes, 6 feet, 228, sub 4'4". He's a versatile weapon. You get the ball to. We don't have anyone like him at receiver. Tight end has to be in the 4th. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Derek B, for the super chat. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably the conclusion that I'm going to come to after I watch the tape more extensively. Again, everything you've said, I don't disagree with, just off of the preliminary tape study that I've done. I told you I've watched 2 games of him. Chiefs are up. Raj has gotten out of the seat. The reason he got out of the seat is because he felt sleep coming for his ass, and he needed to get up to make sure that he didn't fall asleep. Now he's sitting back down, but he did the tomahawk chop. Let's see what the Chiefs got.
In the 2020 NFL draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Lucas Niang, tackle, TCU.
That's a really good pick, man. Lucas Niang is a guy that I feel like has the potential to really be a good tackle in this league if he's healthy, man. Lucas Niang is pretty damn interesting. But back to what we were talking about. I think when it's all said and done, I'm going to go back and watch the film and find out that Antonio Gibson is exactly what Derek B said. He's 6 feet, 228, runs a sub 4.4, a guy that is a mismatch nightmare. You can line him up all over the place, and he's going to do work for you. And we don't have a guy on the roster quite like him. The closest thing we have to him is Steven Sims. And remember, we tried to use Steven Sims on jet sweeps, out of the backfield as a running back, short passes, deep passes. We tried to use Steven Sims. I think we even threw a pass with Steven Sims last year. Like, we did everything with Steven Sims. So the closest thing, so I won't say we don't have anything like him. If you're talking size, you're right. Because Steven Sims is not 230 pounds. Steven Sims is not 6 feet tall. So from that standpoint, you're absolutely spot on. We don't have a guy quite like him on the roster. So we'll see what happens. Tight end needs to be in the 4th round, I believe. I think if you don't take a tight end with one of those, and really tight end should be that 2nd, 4th round pick, whatever's left. And if you miss out on Troutman and you miss out on both of the Harrisons, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, both of the Bryants, If you miss out on both of the Bryants, whatever. All right, at the end of the day, there should be a tight end that you feel like is good. Let's look at the tight ends one more time because, I sit here and I talk all this shit, but, Troutman is available. Hold on. Cleveland's making a pick.
The Cleveland Browns select Jacob Phillips, linebacker.
LSU. Okay. Adam Troutman is available. Harrison Bryant is available. Hunter Bryant is available. Colby Parkinson is available. Albert O is available. Bryson Hopkins is available. Thaddeus Moss is available. Jarrett Pickney is available. Hell, Dalton Keene is available. Like, there is somebody you can take. I don't look after Thaddeus Moss. I don't know if there is a potential tight end number 1. I don't even know if Thaddeus Moss is truly a tight end number 1. I think after Bryson Hopkins, you start to get into that murky territory of, are we really drafting a TE1 or are we just drafting a guy to come in and compete? Because Hopkins has something that only Albert O has, and that's the athleticism when you talk about and Hunter Bryant for that matter, is that athleticism. But, Harrison Bryant, big time volume in terms of pass catching and what he was able to do at Florida Atlantic. Colby Parkinson has a little bit more of the size you're looking for. And to me, the best hands at the tight end position of anybody in this draft, but he's not the greatest athlete. So, you got to take the good with the bad. Everybody at this point in the draft has flaws. You just got to be able to work around them at this point. So, let's go back to the comment section and see if we got any more super chats. We do. So let's read those. I got one from my man, Damon Brown. Double up. Damon Brown, thank you for the super chat, bro. Greatly appreciated. Damon Brown writes, Zach Moss. Who is that? All right, well, we talked about Zach Moss already, which means you weren't here. I ain't gonna kill you for that because you got shit to do. So let me tell you who Zach Moss is. Zach Moss is a really good back. Let's take a look at the running back position so I can kind of give you a sense of where he was in the pecking order of my running backs, which doesn't mean a damn thing really at the end of the day. But Zach Moss was my 9th running back in this draft. And I think he was the 7th running back taken because Taylor was taken, Swift was taken, Dobbins was taken, Edwards-Helaire was taken, Akers was taken, and Dillon was all taken before him. And Keyshawn Vaughn was taken before him. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He was the 8th back taken. He's my 9th back on the board. So he was taken probably right around where I thought he should have gone. I actually thought Tampa Bay should have taken him. That would have been an even better spot for him. But to answer your question, this is a guy that some people call baby beast in terms of beast mode. Marshawn Lynch. He's got that kind of ability. He's physical. He can make you miss in space, but that's not his thing necessarily. But He does everything well. He doesn't have one trait that stands above the rest other than he's just well-rounded. He can catch it out of the backfield. He has a little wiggle to him. Again, not elite wiggle, but enough to make a guy miss that's coming out of control OC. Okay? He can run. He's not blazing fast, but he's got enough speed that if you're in double distance, it's a home run for him. Okay? So he does everything really well. Nothing great, but I think it's an excellent pick. I think he is a perfect complement to Devin Singletary. You've got a really good 1-2 punch now in Buffalo at the running back position. And I honestly thought you should have taken J.K. Dobbins. Would have been a better selection. But you know what? This is a great backup plan that you had. You took the edge rusher. Baltimore is making a pick.
The Baltimore Ravens select Malik Harrison, linebacker, Ohio State.
We talked about Malik Harrison. We said that he probably there was probably going to be at least one, possibly two linebackers that went in those final 13 picks. Voila. Malik Harrison comes off the board to the Baltimore Ravens. They're restocking the cupboard at the linebacker position. I love this selection for them. They've taken care of the speed. Now they come with the thump. Malik Harrison is the thump. He takes on blockers probably better than any linebacker in this draft. His ability to take on blockers and really dishevel them, destroy them, and then go after the ball carrier is second to none in this draft. When he comes downhill with authority. He's a physical linebacker. And I said this, Ohio State produces these types of guys that come up with bad intentions. He's the next in line. And he reminds me so much of Raekwon McMillan. And he's going to come in and he's going to do yeoman-like work for the Ravens. It's a great pick. So you get the speed with Patrick Queen earlier. Now you get the thump with Malik Harrison. Really good pick by the Baltimore Ravens. So Giants now on the clock at 99. The pick is in as we start to wind down the third round. But anyhow, so that's Zach Moss in a nutshell, man. A guy that is going to come in and you're going to be really pleased with what you got. Really solid football player, catches the football out of the backfield, can run in between the tackles, can run outside of the tackles, can make guys miss, has an extra gear. Again, that gear isn't necessarily fifth gear. All right, but he can get to about third and a half gear, maybe fourth gear on a great day for him. And so there's a lot to like with Zach Moss. You got you a complete football player there. The only issue with Zach Moss, and I'll tell you this, and I said it earlier, if he didn't have the injury concerns, he would have gone off the board sooner. Here's the pick for the New York Giants.
2020 NFL Draft. The New York Giants select Matt Parrott, tackle, University of Connecticut.
Matt Parrott, tackle out of UConn, was a guy that I actually wanted to be available for the Redskins at the top of the fourth round. You know, I just want options available, and he was one of the options. Let's take a look at the tackle position because it's getting scarce. It's getting real scary at the tackle position if the Redskins have any interest. 6 tackles went yesterday. Joshua Jones, gone. Ezra Cleveland, gone. Lucas Niang just went. Sadiq Charles still available. Prince is still available. Ben Barch is still available, but Matt Parrott is gone. So you're talking about in my top 13 tackles, 1, 2, 3 of them being left. Sadiq Charles is the guy that I think they've zeroed in on anyway. So as long as he's still available, I think they feel good. If he's not, then I think you see Prince being the next guy up in the pecking order for the Redskins potentially to take in the draft. So we'll see what the rest of these teams end up doing and what they leave as table scraps for the Redskins as we continue on through this third round. But back to the comment section. Got a super chat from Just Andre. Just Andre says, thank you for the super chat. Double up. And you might be on like 3. You might be on 4. It's all murky now at this point. Just Andre writes, how would you feel if the Redskins picked Albert O with their 4th? Well, we got 2. So again, which 4th are you referring to? Are you talking about the first one or the second one? First of all, I'm not a big Albert O guy. Okay. He's got a lot of work to do to be a complete tight end, but But if they took him with their second, fourth round pick, I wouldn't have any problems with it. Guess what? The guy can run. He does have an elite trait. Raiders on the clock. Let's see what they do.
The Las Vegas Raiders select Tanner Moose, linebacker.
Raiders love Clemson players. They take safety Tanner Muse out of Clemson. That's what the Raiders do. They draft Clemson players. If they would have had a chance to draft A.J. Terrell, I think they would have done it, but he was gone. He went 16. They had to pick at 19, so they went elsewhere to Damon Arnett. If they get a chance to draft Clemson players, they draft Clemson players. They just drafted another one in safety Tanner Muse. A lot of people think that he's going to have to convert to linebacker at the next level. When you watch him, he's got a lot of skill, but he's also a guy that is tight in the hips. He's got speed. He can run, but again, it's straight line speed. He doesn't do a good job of turning his hips and running. So I think a lot of people think he's physical in the box. So I think a lot of people look at him and say he's going to be one of these hybrid safety linebacker types at the next level. We got to trade. The Jets traded back, allowed the Patriots to trade up. So again, as I mentioned, the Patriots are going to wheel and deal because they came into the day with 13 picks. They are going to package up picks to get guys that they want. They're going to ultimately leave this draft with about 7 players, but they're going to package up picks and get the guys that they identify as New England Patriots. And so you're seeing them wheeling and dealing again. And I've always said the draft makes bedfellows out of sworn enemies. The Jets, you would think, would never, ever do anything to help the Patriots. Hey, draft picks talk, everything else walks. They're willing to give up draft capital. I'm willing to move my ass out of the way and let you do what you need to do. So the Jets have moved back. The Patriots have moved up. Anxious to see what they're going to do with that pick. But to finish off just Andre's super chat, I would be fine with him being the pick at the end of the 4th round. I would not be excited about him being the Redskins pick at 108. So there is that. Thank you for the super chat, just Andre. Derek B with another super chat. Double up. For my man Derek B doubling up. I appreciate that, Derek B. Derek writes, Gibson sounds like Taysom Hill. We could use that. Maybe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a Taysom Hill jack of all trades on your football team. Those guys come in handy. But Taysom Hill wasn't a 3rd round pick. Okay. The Saints didn't spend a 3rd round pick on Taysom Hill. They kind of, first of all, the Saints didn't even draft Taysom Hill. The Green Bay Packers did. And they cut him loose and they signed him as a free agent after he was cut loose. And then they realized, shit, this guy's athletic as hell. We can do a lot of things with him. It's different when you spend a 3rd round pick on a guy, when you didn't have a 2nd round pick. So I need him to be more than Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is cool. I need him to be more than Taysom Hill. We spent the 3rd round pick when we didn't have a 2nd round pick. We spent the 3rd round pick on Antonio Gibson. He can't just be Taysom Hill. He's got to be a legit option out of the backfield or at the receiver position or a combination of both. He's got to be a dynamic return man. He's got to stand out in some form or fashion. He can't just be jack of all trades. I can do a little bit of everything. This is pretty cool. Yeah, no. He's got to be more than that. But Taysom Hill, like you said, does work for the Saints. And it doesn't hurt to have one of those guys, but it hurts when that guy was a 3rd round pick. Again, if you're telling me he's Taysom Hill, that means you're telling me he's a lot closer to Tavon Austin and Percival Harvin than he is a legit number 2 wide receiver or a legit threat out of the backfield as a pass catching threat. So let's see. Thank you for the super chat, Derek B. Got another super chat. This one from my man, David Henline. You here with it, Dave. Appreciate you, bruh. Thank you for your contributions throughout the night, as well as everyone else that is super chatted tonight, especially those of you who have done it multiple times. And let me thank you guys again for the journey over from the first live stream to this one. I thank you guys for hanging tough with me all night long, despite some of the technical difficulties we had earlier in the night. Really appreciate you guys thugging it out with me. As Dave Henline writes, we knew coming in that we would be sitting with our only our 2 selections through 3 rounds. Considering the talent that's left, I like where we are sitting. We knew this. This isn't like the Redskins traded back. We knew we were going to have 2 picks in the first 3 rounds. We loved the first pick. We're a little spotty and questionable on the second one. I've got work to do, but either way, I can tell you this much. I don't feel any less about this draft right now. We still got 5 more picks to make. I want to see what they do with those 5 selections. And I want to see what the plan is. Do they attack needs? Do they continue to attack best player available? Either philosophy, I don't have a problem with. Like some of you may be upset about this pick. Some of you are coming around to it. Either way, what this pick said to me is BPA. To me, this was the best player available on their board. This wasn't the biggest need the Redskins had. This was best player available. And that's how you're supposed to draft. So I'm not bent out of shape. Patriots making a selection at 101. Let's hear what it is.
Pick to the New England Patriots with the 101st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The New England Patriots select Dalton Keene, tight end.
Dalton Keene. So another tight end off the board, man. I told you. And he's not really a tight end. He's an H-back. He's a wing back. I think they're going to just move his ass around. They drafted Devin Asiasi to be the next big thing at tight end for them. Dalton Keene is going to come in and he's going to move around. They're going to use him as a fullback. He's going to be their new Matt Devlin, where they use him at fullback. They're going to use him at wingback. They're going to move him around. He can catch it. He's got some speed. Again, we're going to see the amount of options at tight end continue to shrink. And again, another tight end off the board. I'm not afraid of the tight end position being gone by the time we go to select one. There are plenty of them available still, but the pool just shrunk a little bit more. All right. Dalton Keene was way down the list. I wasn't like, oh man, they took Dalton. I was pissed when they took Devin Asiasi. I'm like, oh, you took Dalton Keene? Hey, that's cool, man. Good for you. I don't care about that. Devin Asiasi, that one pissed me off because I wanted him to be available at 108. He's not. There's nothing we can do about it. So the Steelers pick is in at 102. We'll see what they do there. But as David Henline said, essentially, we've gone through essentially 3 rounds of the draft, and this is what we expected. We expected the Redskins to not trade up, to not trade back, to not acquire more picks. I was hoping, and this was my hope, was that we would. Whose house is that? Whose house are they at?
The pets of the National Football.
Oh man, that's good stuff. I was hoping that we would acquire a pick for Trent Williams at this point. I was hoping to have an additional third. Here's the Pittsburgh Steelers pick at 102.
20 NFL Draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers select Alex Highsmith.
Alex Highsmith, outside linebacker, Charlotte is the pick. I was hoping that the Redskins would have acquired more draft capital for Trent Williams, and I was hoping we would be making a selection, another one in the 3rd round. Remember, my mock draft had an additional 3rd and an additional 4th, so the Redskins had 3/4 and 2/3 after the trade with Minnesota for Trent. That didn't work out. That did not happen. So, we're sitting here waiting patiently for the rest of this draft to take place. And I think then we'll kind of be able to recalibrate. Redskins have the 2nd pick in the 4th round. So once we get through the rest of these compensatory picks, we'll be sitting in a position where we'll know what's available and we'll be able to then kind of decide, all right, what's next for the Redskins? What's available? What should the Redskins be targeting? But you still got to get through the remainder of these picks. There are 4 more picks. Eagles pick is in. We're going to get all the way to 106 before we wrap up the 3rd round. We're at 103 right now. So we're going to see what these final 4 teams do. And then we'll be able to kind of decide, all right, recalibrate. What should the Redskins do? All right, so no more super chats. So let's read some more comments. real quick. See where we are. Jay Lee says, "Hey Louie, I missed the draft. I know we took Antonio Gibson, which I like because his speed, but other prospect wide receivers were available with our pick. There weren't many. You know, AGG was available. Hold on, Eagles pick up. Let's see what they do.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Davion Taylor.
Davion Taylor, linebacker out of Colorado. He was like my, ninth, 10th linebacker in this year's draft. Really raw prospect. This was a guy that, coincidentally enough, he wasn't able to play football on Friday and Saturdays because of his religion growing up. And so he had only played in one football game in high school because that game was on a Thursday. But because of his religion, he wasn't able to play football on Fridays and Saturdays. So when he turned 18, he got a blessing from his mom to be able to play football on Saturdays, and thus he was able to go play football for the University of Colorado. And he's still learning the game because of the lack of experience, but the guy can run, he can cover, he's got a unique set of skills, and he's a pretty interesting prospect to say the least. So Eagles getting an athletic linebacker that can run and do a little bit of covering, and he's an ex-cornerback that's playing linebacker, and you can tell that he's got that kind of ability. So Davion Taylor, the newest addition to the Philadelphia Eagles. Anyhow, yeah, I mean, AGG was available. Let's take a look at the wide receivers quickly as we start to wind down the third round. AGG was available, and Tyler Johnson was it. Van Jefferson went before the Redskins pick. Michael Pittman was long gone in the second round. Chase Claypool was gone in the second round. T. Higgins went in the second round. Denzel Mims went to the Jets late second round, right before the Redskins pick. And Laviska Shenault went in the second round. So they were really, and KJ Hamler went. I mean, and Lynn Bowden, I think he went third round after the Redskins pick. There weren't many guys available that really whet your appetite. Rams pick up. Let's see what they do.
In the 20 NFL draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Terrell Burgess, defensive back, Utah.
So Terrell Burgess, converted wide receiver to safety at Utah. Still learning the position, but you see the talent with him. He's got a little bit sleeker of a frame. He's still filling that out, I feel like, at 202 pounds. That's a little bit bigger than he looks like on film. He looks like a corner on film playing safety, but he's a guy that I think is continuing to grow in the position with more coaching. You see the talent with him. You see the ability for him to do some creative things. You can blitz him. He can play coverage over. I don't like him too far away from the line of scrimmage, but I do like him in the box. I do like him as an underneath defender, and I do like his ability to blitz. And so he can do a number of things. He's still growing at the position. I like the pick for the Rams. This is right around where I thought his value was in the draft. Late third, early fourth is what I had him pegged as. As you take a look at the safety position, I think I had him as like my 8th safety. So this is right around where I thought he should go as we get to the safeties in this draft. Number 1, Xavier McKinney gone. Antoine Winfield Jr. gone. Kyle Duggar gone. Ashton Davis gone. Grant Delpit gone. Jeremy Chin gone. Terrell Burgess was my 7th safety in this draft. Number 9 was taken before him, Julian Blackmon. Brandon Jones, number 10, was taken before him as well. So of my top 10 safeties, only one remains, and that's Antoine Brooks Jr. out of Maryland. So right now, as you look at the safeties, that position has been ravaged. There isn't much left there. But I had the Redskins mocked to take Josh Metellus. So, and that was with the extra picks that we were supposed to get from Minnesota. So I don't know if that's going to take place now or not. Anyhow, I got a super chat. Going to go ahead and read that. Thank you for the super chat. I think it's my girl Reby. I'm looking. I think I see her picture. Let's see if it is in fact who I think it is. Yes, it's my girl Reby. Hey, how you doing, girl? Glad to hear from you. Um, glad to know you're in good spirits. Hopefully everything is good with you and yours and your family. Reby writes, glad to hear football talk. Love you. Likewise. And hope all is well with you. Haven't seen any content on your channel. Waiting for you to bless me with some more content just to let me know how you're doing. But good to hear from you. Got the Saints at 105.
With the 105th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Adam Troutman.
Yep.
Tight end.
Adam Troutman gone at the tight end position. So one less option available for the Redskins as Adam Troutman, tight end out of Dayton, is gone. Another weapon for Drew Brees and that offense. And so, again, one more weapon for the Redskins shrinks as we get to pick 108. The final pick of the third round is about to take place with the Baltimore Ravens. And then we'll kind of reset everything and see where the Redskins sit as the Ravens make the final pick of the third round. And then we can start talking about what's left and what the Redskins should turn their attention to in the fourth round. Thank you once again for the super chat, Reby. Greatly appreciate it. Always good to hear from you. And again, looking for some content on your channel. Always like to just keep tabs on how you're doing and where you are with your spiritual journey and all of that good jazz. I always like to keep tabs on you. So good to hear from you. And look forward to talking to you in the future. PJ Black says, thank you for the super chat, first and foremost, PJ Black. I think that's number 3 for you. We gonna double up right now for 2. I know as a fact it's 2, might be 3. So I'm just in case we gonna triple up. But PJ Black writes, still early. Let's run the fourth round tonight, Lou. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And I don't know where you are. Where I am on the East Coast, it's midnight, bruh. It is not early. We've been at it for 5 hours straight, which is a record for me because normally the first round is 3 hours. Normally it's 8 to around 11:30. And then the second day is usually 4 hours from 7 to 11. We're at midnight and you talking about it's still early. Let's run the fourth round. You must be outside your damn mind. Hey, PJ, I love you though, bruh. But hell no. It's time to wrap this shit up. So the Ravens gonna make this pick. We're gonna reset the draft, prepare you for the fourth round, and then we getting the hell out of Dodge, bruh. So let's see what the Ravens decide to do with this selection at 106 to wrap up day number 2. And then we will recalibrate and figure out what the Redskins should turn their attention to in the fourth round. 2 fourth-round picks, one at almost the top of the fourth round, second overall in the fourth round, and the other, one of the first compensatory picks given out in the fourth round. So the Redskins with 2 fourth-round picks. I'm thinking tackle and tight end in some order. Probably tackle first, tight end to follow. But let's see what the Ravens do here first before we start making any assumptions. We'll see what's left, and then we'll start talking about best available options for the Redskins at that point. So let's get to some more comments quickly. No more super chats. Let's get to a couple more comments. Reby says, just dropping in to say hello. You know, don't know who the HE double hockey sticks you were talking about. LOL. Sounds interesting, though. Here's the last pick of the third round. Let's hear it.
2020 NFL Draft. The Baltimore Ravens select Tyree Phillips.
Tyree Phillips, guard out of Mississippi State, wraps up day number 2 of the 2020 NFL Draft. Day 3 will feature rounds 4 through 7. The Redskins have 5 picks in rounds 4 through 7, 2 in the fourth round, 1 in the fifth, and an additional 2 in the 7th. So let's talk about what's left now for the Redskins. Thank you for the super chat once again, Reby. And I know you don't do college football. It was just good to hear from you. Rodney Ray says, Dalton Keene is a Swiss Army knife. That he is, and that's why the Patriots drafted him, because they're going to use him some of everywhere. Let's grab a couple more if there are any more out there. Marcus Purnell, my man MP, says, big ups to Lou. It looks as if my po' boy from the South Georgia that grew up with no air conditioning, Harrison Bryant, will be our tight end selection tomorrow. LOL. Hashtag slim pickings. It ain't much left, bruh. I mean, still a lot of tight ends available, but if they pass on tight end at 108, then it may not be a lot left by the time they decide to go with a tight end at, that second pick in the fourth round, excuse me. So let's look and see what's left before we get out of here. Let's run through these positions really quickly. The Redskins aren't taking a quarterback, but we can go through each position quickly just to reset for all teams involved and all the prospects. All the quarterbacks are still available that we came into the day looking at, except for Jalen Hurts. Only quarterback taken in day 2 was Jalen Hurts. Went to the Eagles in the second round. Outside of that, Eason is still available. Fromm is still available. The other guys are all kind of just, developmental projects. Steven Montez, Anthony Gordon, James Morgan. But I think we'll ultimately see Eason and Fromm go early tomorrow. And you may see one or two more of these guys. I think Montez, Gordon, and Morgan have a legitimate shot. I don't know about Huntley and McDonald. You get to the running backs. This position was absolutely under siege in day 2. I told you it would be. Taylor went, Swift went, Dobbins went, Allaire went yesterday. Evans went, Akers went, Dillon went, Moss went, Vaughn went. So in the top 12, 10 of the 12 went. Only Eno Benjamin and 9 of the 12 went, went. Only Rico Dowdle, Eno Benjamin, and the LaMichael Pirine still left on the board, So running backs, 8 running backs went today in rounds 2 and 3, which was expected. You get to the receivers. It's starting to get really slim here as well. As 6 went yesterday in Lamb, Judy, Ruggs, Jefferson, Ayuk, and Rager. Today, Chenault goes, Mim goes, Higgins goes, Claypool goes, Jefferson goes, Pittman goes, and Hamler and Bowden both go as well. And Brian Edwards goes too. So you're left with AGG, Tyler Johnson, Isaiah Hodgins, Gabrielle Davis, Quintez Cephas, and Kalijah Lipscomb. I still am a big AGG fan, and I like Tyler Johnson and Isaiah Hodgins a lot. Any of those guys, and I'm excited. Anybody else, not so much. As we move on to the tight end position, Troutman was just snatched up by the Saints at the end of the third round. He's gone. Devin Asiasi gone to the Patriots. Cole Kmet went to the Bears in the second round. But both of the Bryant boys are left. Kobe Parkinson left, Albert O left, Bryson Hopkins left, Josiah DeGuara gone, and Dalton Keene gone, but Thaddeus Moss still available as to be expected. Jarrett Pickney available as well. So in the top 12, you still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys left out of 12 possible tight ends worthy of selection in this draft. Offensive tackle, pretty much ravaged at this point. You're left with just table scraps, pretty much. 6 guys went yesterday. Another 3 or 4 went today. Jones went. Cleveland went. Lucas Niang went. Mac Peart went. You're left with 3 out of my top 13 in Sadiq Charles, Prince, and Ben Barch. So Redskins better act fast if they want a tackle. I think Sadiq Charles is the pick at the top of the 4th round. And you go to the defensive tackles. 2 went yesterday in Derek Brown and Javon Kinlaw, rightfully so. Today we saw Jordan Elliott go. We saw Ross Blacklock go. We saw Raekwon Davis go. Justin Matabuke went. Marlon Davidson went. So only 2 out of my top 9 defensive tackles are left in Lecky, Fotu, and Benito Jones. So defensive tackle getting slim as well. You get to the edge rushers. Things started to pick up for the edge rushers as we got into the second round. Only 2 went yesterday, but A.J. Epineza went to the Bills. Zach Bond went to the Saints. Yetur Gross-Matos went to the Panthers. Jonathan Greenard ended up in Houston. Terrell Lewis ended up in Jacksonville. Jabari Zuniga was selected by the Jets. Travis Gibson is still available. Darrell Taylor was a surprise pick in the second round by the Seattle Seahawks. Julian Okwara was selected by the Detroit Lions. Anthony Jennings was selected by the by the New England Patriots. And so that's where we are with the edge rushers. Out of my top 17, only 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 remain. So 11 have already been selected in the first 3 rounds. You get to the linebackers, slim pickings here as well, as 4 guys went yesterday in Simmons, Queen, Murray, and Brooks. Today, Logan Wilson went off the board. I told you he's a poor man's Leighton Vander Esch. Akeem Davis Gaither is still available. Malik Harrison just went to the Ravens. Josh Uche went to the New England Patriots. Troy Dye is available. Willie Gay Jr. went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Davion Taylor just came off the board recently. And Justin Sternad is still available. So of my top 12 backers, only Akeem Davis Gaither, Troy Dye, and Justin Sternad are still available. So 3 out of 12 are left. So 9 backers gone in the first 3 rounds. As we get to corner, slim pickings here again. Not a lot left at the cornerback position, but that's to be expected because corners generally go early. We saw 6 go off the board yesterday in Okudah, Henderson, Terrell Gladley, Iggy, and Damon Arnett. Today, Trayvon Diggs went in the second. Jalen Johnson went in the second. Christian Fulton went in the second. Cameron Dantzler just went in the third. And Josiah Scott didn't go. That was the tight end that went. So all of my final 4 guys are remaining, but the first 10 are all gone at the cornerback position. Bryce Hall out of Virginia available, and the rest of these guys are available as well. Javaris Davis out of Auburn, Amik Robertson, and Josiah Scott out of Michigan State, all available at the cornerback position. You get to the safety position. This has been ravaged as well, as to be expected. Xavier McKinney went to the Giants early in the second. Antoine Winfield went to the Buccaneers. Kyle Duggar went to the Patriots. Aston Davis went to the Jets. Grant Delpit went to the Browns. Jeremy Chin is gone. Terrell Burgess just went off the board late in the third round. Antoine Brooks Jr. still available. Julian Blackman went off the board sometime between the late second, early third. Brandon Jones gone. All that's left out of my top 12 are Antoine Brooks Jr. out of Maryland, Josh Metellus out of Michigan, and J.R. Reed out of Georgia. So that's where we are, and that's where I will leave you guys. It's been an excellent 2 days. I'll wrap up by telling you this. The Redskins pick in round 4 needs to be Sadiq Charles. It's getting pretty thin at tackle. That's a guy that they have talked to. I think that's a guy that they like. If they're really serious about getting a tackle this year, they've got to go now or forever. Hold your peace. You're not going to get anything worth having other than a developmental project if you do not take him at 108. So I'm thinking Sadiq Charles is the pick at 108 if he doesn't go to the Cincinnati Bengals at 107. And if he doesn't go there, I think the Redskins need to take him. And then at the back end, I think it's 142 the Redskins have, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at the picks and see exactly where the Redskins are. I think it's 108 and 142 are the 2 picks that the Redskins have in this draft, in the 4th round, I should say. And let's see. Yep, 142. That 142nd pick either needs to be and we're going to find out a lot. If they see Antonio Gibson as a wide receiver, then it needs to be a tight end. If they don't view him as a receiver, then maybe 142 needs to be a wide receiver. At this point, you're probably going to see, if you don't go tight end at 108, You're probably going to see 3 or 4 more. But remember, I told you, the 4th round is when you're really going to start to see these tight ends start to come off the board at an alarming rate. And so if the Redskins bypass tight end at 108, expect them to have even less options at 142. So I think they go tight end at 142. And then in the 5th round, I think they go with the offensive tackle. And I've mocked all of this, so you know how I feel and what I think. And then I think you start seeing them turn their attention to the secondary, maybe a corner or a safety as we get into the 5th round. Maybe 7th round, they look for a corner or a safety there. But we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I leave you with this. I'm going to do my homework on Antonio Gibson and report my findings at once. So either tonight at some point or tomorrow, you'll get an Antonio Gibson breakdown from me. Look forward to that. And we'll reconvene at some point in the near future. You won't see me tomorrow in terms of breaking down the draft, more likely than not. My voice is hanging in there. It's hanging tough, but it ain't much left in the tank. So I want to thank you guys so much for the last 2 days. They've been extraordinary. You guys have hung tough with me through the technical difficulties of today. And it was a marathon both days. 4 hours yesterday, 5 more hours today, a total of 9 hours altogether in the first 2 days of the draft. You guys have been warriors with me every single step of the way. I can't thank you enough for all of your participation, all of the super chats, all of your comments. You guys keeping me abreast of what's going on with some of these picks. And I love the back and forth banter between what you think is going to happen, what should happen, what didn't happen, what they should have done, what they didn't do. I love it all. So thank you guys so much for your participation with this whole draft party. It's been another success, and it's all because of you guys out there. I thank you so much. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. Make sure you follow me on IG. Louie T Network _ is the Instagram. And I am so grateful for you guys' participation. Thank you so much. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage. It could be. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. Have a good one. We'll reconvene here shortly. Antonio Gibson coming at you soon. But until then, you guys take care. Have a good one.